Alrighty, welcome everybody to a video that has been a long time coming. Yes, I'm finally updating explaining my Gmod FNAF lore, because the last time I did this, right, yeah, no, there was like, what, like 70, 60 videos in my lore? Yeah, now there's like 130 something, so yeah, that's fun. And also considering the fact that that last video was like, I think, an hour and a half, and, you know, also the fact that, you know, uh, th this video has doubled the amount of content, we'd want to get started pretty quickly. So you know the gist of it, you can understand. We're just going to be going through all the videos. I'm probably going to have this title like in brackets like March 2022, because next time I probably update this will be after I finish Age Saga, which I'm hoping to have done sometime either I'd say just before or going into summer, around that time I'd say. So let's hope that goes well, and then I'll have more of like a, as well, professionally made video than just me commentating over my previous videos. But yeah, anyway, yeah, with all said, like, comment, and subscribe, and enjoy the video. Yeah, cool. Alright, so the first video, I'm sorry, you can't really see the title because the way the video is cropped is kind of weird. Actually, let me see if I can fix that. Okay, no, never mind, I can't. Whatever. But yeah, basically, so first off, you have, in my lore playlist, you have the Golden Saga Part 1. So basically, the story starts with William Afton, what you call a person's thing. Oh yeah, his wife, Claire, that person, she's not that important, don't worry. And his two lovely sons, Michael and Evan. And he also has a daughter called Elizabeth, but she's not very important. So yeah, basically, right, you know, the usual story, you know, Henry and Emily is working with William Afton. Henry just made, like, this new Fredbear's Family Diner. It's like, oh my god, this place is so cool, I'm so British. Tea and crumpets. And so basically, the first bit of this video is just kind of, you know, showing up. Obviously, this is a lot different than the proper Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, which is, you know, what it ends up being. Also, you got the main two, Star animatronics, Fredbear and Spring Bonnie, which is, you know, very nice. And so, Henry basically just shows William around the place, you know, before the grand opening, and then comes the grand opening, where Henry brings his family, and so does William. Well, Henry only has his daughter, Charlie, but yeah. And then these are random 3 workers that just kind of work here this one day and then kind of quit. And saying, okay, this is nice and fun and stuff. And then this random, like, dad and his children come. And he's like, hey, I want to check this place out. But then I'm pretty sure then they get kind of spooked by the animatronics. And this guy almost burns down the place, I'm pretty sure. So they have to get the fire extinguisher, and then they all get fired. But then, yeah, he sincerely leaves. So then, a couple of days later, I think. Oh, how many days later is it? 1 week later, sorry. Also, between the party and the grand opening, it's been... Actually, I think it's the next day. But a week later is Evan's birthday party. So it's like, oh, funny time. Evan's so happy, he's the birthday boy, yay, birthday boy. And Fredbear and Spring Bonnie are singing him a happy tune. But Michael, being mean and dumb, is like, ah, I'm gonna prank this kid. Let's go, lads, and gets his gang together. And basically causes the bad way 3, if you know what I mean. Basically puts Evan inside Fredbear's mouth and... yeah, I was like, oh, what did I do? And yeah, Evan's dead. He got his face bit off, and then yeah, Willie's kind of traumatized from that. So yeah, then he kind of has a falling out with William, or he kind of has a falling out with Henry, and then Michael's like, it's all my fault, I'm so sad, and then he just runs away, and he hasn't shown up since. Then later that night, also yeah, there's this other, I'm trying to call this a security puppet, which is basically used just to protect Charlie. Because Henry's overprotective, whatever. But then later that night, Charlie sees that Uncle Willie is out by the side of Fredbear's Farm Down. He's like, Uncle Willie, what are you doing? And he's like, don't worry, I'm just drinking. It's like, okay. But then the security puppet comes out and sees William has killed her. Oh golly. It's like, oh, I got her skedaddle, British tea, crumpets, doop-a-doop-a-doop. And then, obviously, the sad times, Henry finds his dead daughter. Oh no! But then while William's running away, he meets this random dad. It's like, oh my god, I love your stuff. And he's like, thanks, mate. Very cool stuff. And then, he was gonna kill him, but he's like, I've killed one person, that's enough. So, yeah, then good. But then he accidentally, he's like, hits him. He's like, oh no! crushes his head. Oh no, you hear his head on the slab. And then that guy's dead as well. That's fun. And then I think it's 2 weeks later. 2 weeks later. I don't like how this. Just a bit of a nitpick, but this has 1 week like the number 1, but then this has 2 as in like the lesser 2. But anyway, then there's this new random guy called like this, the old man. Then there's this new. Basically Henry and William just aren't really run the place anymore. So then this new guy called Vincent and also this old man are kind of running it now. And then the security puppet, a super duper awesome moment, which I'm actually is edited pretty well. He's like, oh, what's wrong with the security puppet? Oh no, what's going on? Oh no, and then, oh my gosh, yeah, now the security puppet is being possessed by Charlie. Yeah, super cool stuff. And also Evan's soul. Basically, the story basically, right, in my lore, if a soul possesses an animatronic, it just kind of creates a sort of personality for the animatronic. It doesn't actually like transfer over the personality of the person before. So it's basically the animatronics are just like their own people. It's just that if they have a soul inside of them, it just allows them to be sentient. And then also Spring Bonnie's alive as well, because you know that one guy, his head, yeah, he kind of possessing Spring Bonnie, so that's cool. And then they're all friends, and yay. But then also this random guy gets run over by a taxi at some point and possesses this endoskeleton guy who will become important later. And then that's basically the end of this, so that's cool. And now on to the next video, which is the animatronic factory, which takes place somewhere else in the factory, obviously. And there's random guys running the factory, and they meet a bunch of new animatronics. So basically you got the normal gang. You got Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy. Like these are like the technically these are the first proper versions of Fredbear, of the original Freddy's gang. And then there's also RX or QXR or RXQ, I think it's RXQ, and Toy Bear, who are important, definitely. And so basically they all die somehow. All the guys die, and then obviously their souls go into possess the animatronics, and then those animatronics become alive and stuff, and it's very nice and cool and stuff. But then the Toy Bear and RXQ find some super spooky stuff. They find some shadow remnant stuff, and then they become shadow people. It's like, hey, you want to take over the world? It's like, yeah, sure. Let's but first I'm gonna go somewhere. And so while Freddy goes somewhere, Shadow Bonnie sleeps on a pile of dead bodies, as you do. And then also, yeah, this old man's kind of running the place. So it's like, yay, funny times. And then all these guys get into a fight for some reason, and then we're on to part 2 of the Golden Saga. And then we got the Fredbear and Spring Bonnie version 1 era, where it's basically just these guys cool talking stuff. So like, yeah, so basically this guy this guy made like a big extension to the place and just kind of showing this guy around for the most part. But then Fredbear and Spring Bonnie realizes, wait, we're going to be scrapped and replaced by other people, because Fredbear bit a child's face off, and that's not very good. That's not very poggers, you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh no, we're all gonna die. And then this Endo guy comes up like this one time, and he's like, hey guys, can I join? It's like, no, go away. And so, yeah, big rip for the Endo boy. The old man and Vincent come up to his crib and just zap him to death. That's the end of the Endo boy. And then, we're gonna kill everyone. We already killed you, now we're gonna kill everyone else. Now, attack! Ooh. And yeah, then they all get tasered. And then the Endo, Spring Bonnie, and Fredbear get thrown into the back room. Like, oh no. But then Puppet, because for some reason the Puppet doesn't get thrown back, because I suppose there's no real problem with the Puppet. And so then they get some new animatronics. They get version 2s, also Fredbear and Spring Bonnie, as well as the new Spring Foxy models. That's nice. But yeah, and then they just kind of, Puppet realizes, oh god, all my old friends are gone. But then turns out, wait a second, I have the power of giving life. So then she gives life to all these new animatronics, like woo, oh, whoosh. Whoosh. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Yar, fiddly-dee. And then Shadow Freddy, that guy from the animatronic factory, is like, huh, let's mess some stuff up. And then, yeah, he creates just a massive portal that leads somewhere. And you'll find out eventually where it shows up. And then all these guys are like, hey, maybe we should go check this out, even though we've literally just gained life like a couple minutes ago. Oh no! And they all go into the portal. And then Fredbear is being depressed and stuff. Everyone's depressed back there. And then the old man's just on a binge, making a bunch of animatronics. And then Henry Emily comes back, because in this, I think it's been like It's been like a couple months, I think, I'm pretty sure, since, you know, all that stuff in part 1 happened. So that's fun. And then, you know, Vincent and Henry talk about stuff, and Henry reveals, yeah, I know it was William who killed my daughter. And yeah, and they have this talk is way too long. It's like 10 minutes. It's way too long. But anyway, and then the old man finally gets version 3's Pepper and Spring Bonnie version 3. Very cool. But then they decide to name this guy Frederick or Golden Freddy, because Fredbear is kind of a dumb name. But it's not much better than Golden Freddy, but still. And then Vincent decides to spend a night as a security guard, which, funnily enough, is actually the only security guard, except for Jeremy, that we ever see in the entire series. And so Papa's like, alrighty, I guess I know what I must do then. And then so she's like, okay, looks like it's time to beat some people up. And then guess what? Yeah, you guessed it. She gives life to the new Fredbear and Spring Bonnie, or Golden Freddy and Spring Bonnie. Yeah. And so these guys seem pretty chill. And this is actually, funny enough, like the longest section, I think. At least in the chapters. And so, you know, they're just, you know, yeah, steal stuff. And it's like, oh god, I'm gonna die. But then they actually seem kind of chill. And so then Vince is like, nah, man, screw this. And then he just changes back into his normal clothes, like, you know what? I know that animatronics are alive now, which is weird, but yeah. And so Fredbear and Spring Bonnie finally start to practice, you know, the whole singing and dancing stuff, which is what the whole point of it is, of, you know, the whole brand is. And then these 3 random people come, like, oh, this place looks cool. You guys look pretty neat. But then they get very bad at performing, and then they put on performance mode, which is a thing, but it didn't work with their, like, wiring or whatever. And then Fredbear and Spring Bonnie start burning up, and then this random girl starts burning up as well. And so, Vincent's kind of getting pretty freaking sick of all these animatronics freaking breaking, because the old man sucks at making animatronics. And then all, you know, Fredbear and Spring Bonnie are all broken and stuff. And then he throws them in the back with the original Fredbear and Spring Bonnie, and Fredbear continues to be depressed. Very nice. And yeah. And so the middle-up's like, hey guys, who wants to play some Uno? And then the old man comes back, does a sick freaking flip thing through the window, I think. Wait for it. Look at this sick flip. Whoa, look at that flip was pretty sick. But then he's like, yeah, I actually made a bunch of other animatronics, but it didn't work. So here's Fredbear and Spring Bonnie version 4, because they were too creepy. And then he shows Fredbear and Spring Bonnie version 5, who were just kind of broken. These 2 guys, that guy and this guy. And yes, very cool stuff. And then Fredbear and Spring Bonnie version 6, which are those guys, and they're, yeah. But then we got the first real, proper sort of, well, technically second edition of the Fredbear Friends gang, you know, Freddy and Bonnie and Foxy and Chica and the Cupcakes and the 3, like, what you wouldn't call them, Freddles. And so, the old man's like, you what, apart from all the slag, I'm just gonna throw these guys in my bus and I'm gonna bring them to the animatronic factory and stuff, so it's very cool. But then, as the guys are playing Uno, wait, what is this, Nani? Then the Endo guy from part 1 comes back to life, or is this part 2? Oh no, this was still in part 2. Yeah, and he's come back to life because now he's Phantom Endo. I told you he'd be important later. And then Forever's is closed. That's fun. And then we go on to the animatronic factory part 2, where, you know, the old man gets all these animatronics. Are we still recording? Good, I hope so. Yeah, okay, we're good. So yeah, then he's like, oh, super cool, I'm so old and stuff. And then literally the only thing that happens is that Shadow Freddy comes back from causing mayhem. He's up there, and then all the animatronics get souls because there was like a train crash or something that killed like 15 people, and all those souls went on to possess the animatronics, which is fun. And so, well, except for this Spring Bonnie version 5, because he's not cool enough to get a soul. So then they all kind of go their separate ways, and then for some reason, the whole place starts to freaking burn down. It's like, oh no! Also, the original Fredbear, like, not the original Fredbear, like the one in the back room of Spring Bonnie, there was another one before that we had. Yeah, it's this guy. He's scrapped Fredbear now, but he used to be called Fred or something. He was like Fredbear version 0 or something. So yeah, he was in the animatronic factory this whole time, and like, I completely forgot to mention him. But yeah, and then they all escape and go their separate ways. Yeah. And so this old man's like, alright, screw this, I'm just grab the original Fredbear and also that not working Spring Bonnie, and I'm just gonna screw off and not appear for like 10 years. And so that's very fun. Now we're on to the Nightmare Virus, which is, now we're finally into kind of later on territory, because I'm pretty sure this takes place around 1984, 1985. And the big man himself, William Afton, has told the old man to come in and bring him this random black bear thing, which is actually a model based off of, Fredbear version 7, which is, that Golden Freddy guy who was along with the second sort of group of Freddy and friends, which is very cool. So he has his inner monologue. It's like, alright, time to throw the sled in here. And as you can see, William's been running some experiments on himself, and he's basically been practicing Remnant, which is like soul juice, essentially. You know what Remnant is. And yeah, he's like trying to make himself immortal because he wants to be immortal, apparently. It's like, yeah, I made this nightmare virus thing, which is supposedly be able to turn animatronics into my evil loyal henchmen, ha ha ha. And so then the old man leaves, and then he turns the night bear guy into his first ever nightmare virus creation, and only nightmare virus creation. Come on, show it. Show it, god dang it. Where is it? Where is it? Nightmare. There's Nightmare. Nightmare exists now, so yeah. It's gonna get kind of confusing later on, but trust me, it'll be worth it. Anyway, so he's like, you know what? I'm just gonna take your Nightmare virus, and so Nightmare takes his Nightmare virus and leaves. And then he opens a portal. Like, wait, I can open portals? That's pretty cool. Then he goes check out this weird Flash Foods place. Like, what the heck? This is all pixelated. Ooh. And so William's depressed because he's lost everything. He's like, god dang it. Well, I suppose I'm gonna start drinking again. God freaking dangus. Off to drink for my barrel of freaking alcohol that I have for some reason. I don't know I have this. And so he drinks. That's fun. Now we get to Nightmare's origins. Yay! So basically, these guys were, these versions of Fredbear, or Freddy and Bonnie and Chica, these guys that were some of the old man's old failed creations, along with this guy who I think was there, Plush Bonnie. They're just kind of chilling out in this pizzeria that they found, because they did go to the animatronic factory in part 2, and then they left to go find this pizzeria, so that's cool. But then, guess what happens, guys? About halfway through the video, Nightmare shows up because he went through that portal at the end of the last episode, and that brought him here. And then literally all that happens is he turns everyone into Nightmare animatronics, and then he has his Nightmare army now, so that's cool. And yeah, now we don't see him for a while, and now it is sent into madness, which is going to take too long to explain. So basically, let's do a quick run through. So basically, they're working on new the first proper Freddy animatronics. As you can see, he's kind of failed the last couple of times. His old mind kind of sucks at making animatronics now. But this new guy, Dave Miller, is like, don't worry, I can do it, and I'm British, so that definitely doesn't mean I'm sus or anything. It's like, yo, this man is amazing. Yo, old man, get out of here. It's like, what? And so yeah, the old man gets fired, but then Dave Miller is like kind of evil and he throws away all the old versions of Freddy and stuff. And so yeah, and then all these guys are still chilling out. Fredbear lost his hat and bow tie because yes, and he's depressed, and yeah, the other versions as well. And they're just kind of chilling. But then the first Spring Bonnie kind of gets burned into a crisp, and then he becomes Springtrap. But there was already another Springtrap, so he just becomes the other Springtrap. And so, yeah, very, very cool stuff, and there's Phantom Endo as well. And then these guys should come up, the Shadow Freddy and Shadow Bonnie from the animatronic factory, and they're like, hey, what's all this stuff? And then it's like, let's just turn all these guys into Shadow Freddys, because I'm egotistical. And then all these guys get turned into Shadow Freddy, and it's like, what the heck? What's going on? But then they find this weird portal thing, and they're like, okay, let's go through it. But then this one guy's like, oh no, the portal doesn't work on me, no, I got trapped. But then this guy, he wakes up, the Shadow Freddy wakes up and is like, hey guys, can I chill with you? You know, you guys seem pretty lit, you know what I'm saying? I was like, sure, yeah, just don't be dumb. And so then Henry Emily comes back, and Vincent is like, yo, what's up, fam? Haven't seen you in ages. It's like, yeah, you know that Dave Miller guy? I'm not sure if his accent would have given it away, but yeah, he's William Afton. It's like, oh, crap. And so, yeah, then Dave Miller comes and attacks the animatronics with a freaking axe, which is not nice. Yeah, these are the animatronics that are in the back at the moment. Yeah, they're all a ragtag group, but yeah, it's like, I'm super cool and evil and stuff. But then Vincent and Henry come to help, sort of. Yeah, here they are. It's like, attack. But then, guess what happens? He William Afton / Dave Miller kills the original Spring Bonnie / Springtrap's like, Fredbear's like, no, my best friend, god damn you. And super cool stuff like that. But then it reveals that, because you remember in the Nightmare virus, he was William was kind of getting all purple, but then realized he was actually wearing a fake skin, and underneath he was completely purple, and so, oh my gosh, very cool. And then Henry's like, you're so evil, William, I'm gonna take you down for the last time and get revenge for my daughter. because at this point it's been like 3 years since the the beginning of the series. So yeah, it's like 1986, I think, as far as I can remember. But then yeah, and then William wears the dead Spring Bonnie as a suit to boost his power and everything. So now yeah, but then he beats up Henry, which is actually a kind of violent scene. But he just beats him up, just grabs him, is like, "What, die?" and smashes his face against a PC, which is not nice. But then you get this extremely violent scene. I don't know what made it so violent, but basically Henry sets up the spring locks inside of the spring lock costume, and this happens to William.
Henry!
And yeah, and then yeah, William gets spring locked, very lovely. And Henry's like, well, he's dead. And Shuttleface says, oh no, what are we gonna do now? That spring Bonnie guy is kind of dead, and it's William's dead body's inside of him, so he's double dead. But then for some reason Henry is like, yeah, all these animatronics are pretty dumb, so I'm gonna destroy all of them. But then obviously he can't spy the way out. No human can see Phantom Endo because he's a phantom. But yeah, Henry like gets his axe and chops down Fredbear and Shadow Freddy. But then and then he throws away the Springtrap / William Afton kind of thing. But then the other Springtrap and Golden Freddy escape to that door. I was like, alright, Vincent, you go get those animatronics that Dave Miller was working on. And so Henry kind of puts Shadow Freddy and Golden Freddy in the back, and well, yeah, he now is Golden Freddy, not Fredbear. So that means there's 2 Golden Freddys and 2 Springtraps. That's very nice. And then Vincent also finds these animatronics that Dave Miller was working on. We finally got the OG band along with Endo. And then for some reason, Foxy just kind of like short circuits one day and it's like, and then he's all broken and stuff. And that's why he's broken in the main series. And then down here is the puppet, because you remember the puppet literally did nothing this entire time. But don't worry, all this will be explained later. And then basically this Endo random guy who literally came out of nowhere shows up, freaking clobbers the puppet, and then takes on a new identity as the fake puppet, which is the puppet that you'll know from now on, or at least for a while. And then this random person takes I'll consider him Afton, because at this point he's Afton. Takes Afton to a different place, and Phantom Endo's like, well, I've got nothing better to do, so yeah, let's just follow him. And then Springtrap and Golden Freddy meet up with Baldy, and it's like, what, let's start school. So they started school, and then turns out that the Phantom people, Phantom Freddy, Phantom Foxy, and they see Afton, and guess where Afton has been brought? He's been brought to Fazbear's Fright, and then on to part 2, because this is part 2. And then it's the same video, but on the chapters part 2. And then Afton wakes up, it's like, oh, what the heck? And then basically he's like, wait, Henry, I hate Henry, I'm gonna get out of here. But then the Phantom's like, you're gonna work with us, because all those people that you killed, not really, basically it's confusing, but basically we're sold. I couldn't find animatronics to inhabit, so we kind of manifested our own body out of pure remnant, and we're super cool and stuff and badass and edgy. And so they talk for like, what the hell, why did they talk for like 10 minutes, what the hell, get onto the plot. And so yeah, they're ghosts basically. And then there's also these two other animatronics. There's a Phantom Chica and Phantom Bonnie. So yeah, the whole Phantom group are here. And then basically they're like, well, we kind of got replaced by these other weird Phantom people who aren't even Phantoms. And then Phantom Bonnie goes out to do some scouting. And so they task Springtrap, or Afton, is like, you know what, we'll let you go if you take out those fake Phantoms. And he's like, alright boy, I got you, fam. But then guess what, Phantom Endo shows up and he meets Phantom Bonnie and is like, yo fam, what's good, let's talk about stuff. And then, but turns out that Springtrap Afton sees that the fake Phantoms have already been destroyed. Oh my goodness. And so it's like, what's going on? It's like, oh, my head. But then he wakes up and suddenly he's Springtrap, like the original Spring Bonnie, because yes, it's like a Jekyll and Hyde kind of situation where sometimes he's Afton, and sometimes, aka most of the time, he's Spring Bonnie. And then guess what? These guys are back, Shadow Freddy and Shadow Bonnie, and they have they get the broken Phantoms, and also these guys, because if you remember, these are two of the guys who were in the animatronic factory, and so after the animatronic factory, like off screen, they got kidnapped by the shadows. That's fun. And so Phantom Man and Phantom Bonnie kind of become friends. It's like, yeah, what's going on? I feel something weird. And then it's like, oh yeah, then they meet Phantom Endo and it's like, hey, yeah, this Phantom Endo kid's pretty cool. And then Afton just gives up and burns the entire place down. And it's like, this is no good. And so the entire freaking place just burns down. And then these other guys who are also in the animatronic factory get burned up, but they're alive. They just lose all their memories, which is fun. But then obviously, as you would expect, Springtrap manages to escape as well. Unless I've skipped that part. Have I skipped that part? No, I haven't. He managed to escape, which I think looks pretty cool. A pretty cool scene. If it wasn't so laggy, but yeah, he makes it through. It's like, lovely. Now, how am I going to get down from here? And then, oh, yeah, well, now it's on to the next video, which is, yeah. And then you can see, Shadow Freddy and Shadow Bonnie have the golden or Fredbear and Spring Bonnie, and also the broken Phantom people. And then this leads into Chica Chicken the Big Sad Movie Part 1, which is obviously a lot older. Like, this was made back in, like, July of last year. Wait, what, July? Oh dang, yeah, so this is like my oldest actual series, but we only first got to it. So as you can see, the FOV is kind of weird and stuff, but yeah, basically, Chica Chicken, which is one of those people who lost her memories in the fire. Yeah, she's kind of a hobo and she lost all of her money, but then she meets the Foxy and also Bonnie and Freddy, but obviously they don't know that they've met before because obviously, you know, they lost all memories, which is not nice. So they basically just be really mean to Chica, but then Chica decides to get her revenge by literally killing them. It's really unnecessary, but yeah, she literally just beats them up. Like, look, she just rips them apart. But by the end, she's also very ripped apart as well. It's like, alright, but Bonnie, are you okay? I didn't mean to bite your face off. Are you okay? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, but Bonnie. And then he dies. It's like, oh god, I'm so ugly. I've got to run away. Oh no. And also, originally, all these 3 parts were in, because it's a 3-part series, by the way. Originally, all these 3 parts were in the 2.5-hour movie. But it took too long to upload because my my internet kind of was pretty sucky by then, so I had to split up into 3. And so Fredbear, who is, remember, one of the guys that Shadow Freddy and Shadow Bonnie kidnapped, meets Chica Chicken, and then Chica Chicken saves Fredbear, and Fredbear's like, we gotta go save my brother Spring Bonnie, he's being tortured. And then the main villains of this series, if you couldn't already guess, is Shadow Freddy and Shadow Bonnie, who are trying to torture Spring Bonnie, because basically the whole shtick is that Shadow Freddy wants to like make an army out of those Phantom people that he also stole, but he needs to find a way to like extract the souls of Fredbear and Spring Bonnie and put them into the Phantom people, because the Phantom people don't actually have any souls, and then like duplicate them with the shadow powers, because he can do that, and then basically just target Spring Bonnie and stuff. But then Shadow Bonnie comes down and gets beaten up by Fredbear and Chica Chicken, and so they're like, you know what, fly us up there, and then alright, what should we do? And then they have a big fight with Shadow Freddy, in which Shadow Freddy kills both Fredbear and Spring Bonnie, which is very nice. And so that's cool and stuff. Yeah, it's very, very nice. But yeah, nice. And yeah, it's like, oh no! Also, and then the Shadow Freddy puts their souls into the Phantom people. It's like, yar, we got cool stuff. It's like, alright, you guys are my new minions. And then on to part 3, yay! Also, I just thought something. I don't know if I ever explained how... Wait, I'll be back in 1 sec. Never mind, I completely forgot about something. Sorry, that happens later. I thought I didn't explain something that happens at that point, but it does. So basically, Chica Chicken got freaking murdered, and then there's a bunch of Shadow Freddy and Shadow Foxys now because, you know, of the cloning process and everything. But Chica Chicken runs away, and guess who she encounters? It's Freddy, Bonnie, and Foxy, because they're not actually dead, but then they have like a moment like, yeah, we're sorry about that, we're sorry for being mean to you. And then we find this suit, which, if you remember, was the original suit of Shadow Bonnie, which I have no, because if this takes place in New York and everything else takes place in like Utah, so I have no clue how this suit ends up all the way here, but okay. And then it gets fixed by, I think, Freddy or Chica Chicken, and then it becomes Bonnie Bot. And basically they're just trying to kill Shadow Freddy because he's kind of weakened, because he's gonna like do more duplication to make a big Phantom army. And so yeah, there's also the 2 Phantom Generals, which were like the original 2 Phantoms, and also Shadow Bonnie. And they have a big fight, big fights, lots of death and stuff. And then by the end, Shadow Bonnie gets betrayed by Shadow Freddy, and somewhere like here, I think. Yeah, and Shadow Freddy steals Shadow Bonnie's powers. Like, brother, no! It's like, give me your powers, boy. And then he becomes super powerful. And then the generals are like, should we really do this stuff? But then in like the next like 20 minutes, I mean, all the generals are dead anyway. So yeah, then the generals die. But then yeah, Shadow Freddy's kind of messed up, you know, from being all burned and stuff. Oh yeah, and also I forgot to mention Bonnie dies. Yeah, that's something I probably should have mentioned before. But yeah, Bonnie dies. Right, like somewhere. Where is he die? Has he died yet? Actually, I think yeah. So Bonnie gets like decapitated by Shadow Freddy, and so Foxy, Chica, Freddy, and so Bonnie Bot dies, but not yet. So Freddy, Chica, and Foxy fight the Shadow Boy, and I think you just saw Bonnie's beheaded corpse somewhere. But then he's like, "Oh God, I'm gonna explode!" But then Chica's like, "Bye," and then everyone runs. Yeah, there's Bonnie's dead corpse. I was like, oh God, this is not a good idea. That power that I stole from my brother was not good for me, my health. Oh no. And then, hello, and then Bonnie Bot's like, still alive. It's like, whoa, I'm still alive. I managed to save my master one last time. And then Shadow Freddy explodes. And then it's like, okay, well, Bonnie Bot and Bonnie are dead, so that's fun. And then that's the end of that series. And then we go on to the tragic tale of Phantom Endo, where it picks up a Phantom Endo story and he's in the train. And then he meets with Phantom Bonnie. And then he meets a bunch of these golden people who were in the Golden Saga Part 2. Like one, because you had like version 5 Fredbear and also version 4 Fredbear and Spring Bonnie. Because remember, version 5 Spring Bonnie was the default badge stuff. But yeah, and so basically they're like, alright, we gotta get some cash, so we have to find these 3 golden cupcakes, but can you do it for us? And so yeah, and so Phantom Endo and Phantom Bonnie find the 3 golden cupcakes, but then turns out it was a scam, and then they leave, because the golden boys got scammed. And then we get onto the FNAF house, which you remember is these guys, like, wait, what a second, what, weren't they in the pizzeria? It's like, yeah, well, it'll be explained later. Well, actually, it's explained, like, in the first, like, minute. But basically, yeah, they were gonna be replaced at some point, because this is now in 1987, so that's a very fun year. Yeah, around August, I'm pretty sure, because back then my timing was, at this point I don't really care about like when videos actually take place. Like at this point I had like specific dates for when they happen, which is really dumb. I'm never gonna do that again. But yeah, and then basically they were gonna be replaced by the toy animatronics, which were like new animatronics, but then they ran away before they could be scrapped. And then Freddy buys a house because he apparently has the money to buy a house. And then literally all they do is they just go in, and Foxy's like, "Yar, I'm just gonna go do some errands." Like, what the heck? Who are you? Then you hear a British voice, and then you go. This is kind of a side story. The toys play hide and seek, which is literally takes place in the pizzeria with the toy guys who replaced the guys from the FNAF house, the classic animatronics, so the FNAF house gang, or whatever. And then the show that happens is that they play hide and seek, but then Puppet talks to this weird Springtrap guy, but originally this video wasn't gonna be canon, but I decided to make it canon. And I don't really have an explanation for why the Springtrap guy is here, but he's here. Well, I didn't, not back then, I didn't have a reason, but I do now. So yeah, that's literally all that happens. They just play hide and seek, and Toy Bonnie wins, and Mangel's mad about it because she was the seeker. But yeah, then we're on to FNAF House Part 2, where it turns out the person Foxy was talking to was this random British King Endo, which is an Endo with a crown and golden eyes, and he's got these 2 monster nightmare Endos as bodyguards. Turns out this is actually the brother of this Endo. And then they basically talk, but then turns out King Endo's evil, and so they have a big fight, and then poor Goldie man. Also yeah, this all the Endo people, all the Endo bodyguards get murdered and stuff, which is very nice. But then the poor boy, where does I can never find it. Oh yeah, but then yeah, Goldie unfortunately dies. Yeah, because remember, this is a funny story. This is actually, if you think about it, this is the original Fredbear, because then remember he got turned into Golden Freddy. So yeah, then they're all beaten up and stuff, but they managed to kill King Endo's bodyguards, and seemingly King Endo as well. Also, Endo has a cool hat for some reason. But then it turns out at the very end, King Endo's alive. He's like, I'll get my revenge on you, you meddling kids. But then we go on back into the pizzeria with the puppet secret. So these are kind of two like overlapping stories. So this takes place like the day after the hide and seek stuff. But then turns out, wait, what the heck? There's two puppets, and this puppet's being kidnapped by the puppet that we saw in part 1. Because yes, you remember back at the end of Golden Saga part 2, the puppet got like knocked up by the Endo person, and then the Endo person got replaced, or the Endo person then got like a new puppet suit somehow, and yeah. And then he became the fake puppet, so that Endo has actually been this puppet the entire time, but then this was the real puppet, like the original puppet, so yeah. But then, yeah, then that Springtrap guy that, you know, I was talking about before, he's just kind of a mindless drone that was working for the fake puppet. And so the Springtrap and the fake puppet fight the toys, and then the toys win. But then, Shadow, yeah, and then Toy Bonnie kind of goes a bit crazo. It's like, I'm super powerful now, woo! And then he turns into Shadow Bonnie for like a couple seconds, and then he's like, he just smites fake puppet. He's like, wait, what? I don't know what's going on. It's like, prepare to be smited, you weirdo. It's like, wait, please, I don't, no, please, do not do this to me, no, oh no, whoops. And then, yeah, he gets smited and dies. I think it's a he. Well, if this Endo was he, then it is. And then the toys save the original puppet, so yeah, that's cool. And then we're on to next video, which is Toy Bonnie's condition, which takes place like that night. They get rid of the Springtrap suit because obviously the fake puppet kind of got wrecked, figuratively and literally. But you can see that, you know, Toy Bonnie's kind of looking kind of strange here. He's a bit drowsy, and for some reason, Toy Chica is reading a newspaper. Oh no! And Mango has a new suit, but that's not important. So really, all that happens turns out. Okay, so it's kind of confusing. So basically, if you remember the Shadow Bonnie, who got betrayed by his brother and got his power stolen, originally I was going to have his soul being stolen, but then, as well, I kind of want to use the character more. So then that Shadow Bonnie's soul went on to possess Toy Bonnie. Or, no, sorry, it went on to possess that Springtrap weird suit thing that got killed in the fight with that and Fake Puppet and the Toy Animatronics. But then after that got destroyed, Toy Bonnie was close to it, and so the soul, or the Shadow Bonnie's soul that was originally in Springtrap went inside Toy Bonnie, and then that's why he turned into Shadow Bonnie. And now Shadow Bonnie had taken over Toy Bonnie, and then he freaking riggedy wrecks all the toys. All the poor toys get freaking murdered, all of them. Except for Puppet, because your eyes, well, I don't know why, but I'm gonna put Puppet back to normal. And then, guess what happens? He throws all the withered toys in the back, the withered original toys in back, and for some reason, I still don't know why he decides to save Puppet, but it's like, what should I do now? I know. And then he creates his own evil versions of the toy animatronics, and then he puts his soul into the new evil Toy Bonnie for some reason, and then obviously for some reason that means the old Toy Bonnie, which he was originally inhabiting, is now withered and stuff. So yeah, then he gets put back there, and Puppet's like, that was a weird dream, I'm not sure what happened there. But then we finally got into the first real, well, I suppose the Descent of Madness was really big, but the proper really big video. So the Puppet wakes up, and it's like, what's going on? Why are the toys being so mean? And so yeah, and then she goes away for a while. But also these Wither guys, yeah, I forgot to mention, these guys have been here the entire, like literally the entire series. Like once the Freddy people started coming up, yeah, these guys have been here the whole time, kind of, yeah. Because if you think about it, these guys actually came in between those Freddy, Bonnie, Chicken, Foxy that were made by Dave Miller / William Afton, and also after all the Fredbear characters. So that's fun, but they were like, they had some weird incident, and so they got thrown in the back. But then they're like, we'll get our revenge, because all these toys are really mean. And then Puppet's like, wait a second, these don't seem like the toys I know. And then she goes into the cellar and finds the real toys, which are all damaged. And like, oh, these are clones. So then they basically just kill all the clone toys. And then there's also this, and then, yeah, Shadow Freddy, who's not that, or other Shadow Freddy. This Shadow Freddy is in, like, withered Shadow Freddy, fight Shadow Bonnie. Because Shadow Bonnie thinks that Shadow Freddy is the other Shadow Freddy, because this Shadow Bonnie is the same Shadow Bonnie as the other one. And so he thinks, obviously, no, oh, this is my brother who betrayed me, but obviously he's a different Shadow Freddy with the same powers, which is kind of weird. But anyway, then Shadow Bonnie also, like, turns the Toy Cupcake, which is Toy Chica's cupcake, evil, because that cupcake actually wasn't turned into, like, a clone by Shadow Bonnie originally. But then, where is it? I don't know where it is. Then, the Cupcake takes control of himself and beats up Shadow Bonnie, and then goes into the back And also, since Shadow Bonnie and Shadow Freddy kind of fly away, the toy cupcake finds this old suit, this old cupcake suit, which is actually the body of the cupcake that was for the FNAF house, Chica. And then he finds the Glamrock animatronics in the back, and is like, oh, these must be animatronics that were going to replace the toy animatronics for being like a new mall thing. And so he awakens them and pretends that he saved them from scrap. And then the weird stuff, because this is kind of when my channel got to get pretty popular. But yeah. And so then part 2, which takes up directly afterwards, and then I was kind of going around doing, I don't know what Foxy's doing. What are you doing, Foxy? I have no clue what he's looking for. I think I haven't watched this video in ages. But then obviously, all the toys are dead, or at least the fake toys are dead. And then the cupcake is like, or this evil cupcake, as I should say, it's like, ha 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 ha, evilness overload. And then he sends Glamrox to attack. And so the Glamrox beat up the Wizards and throw them in jail. But then Wither Bonnie, who's kind of been kind of a jerk, also yeah, Shadow Bonnie and Shadow Freddy come back. And then, yeah. But then the Glamrox also got controlled from the cupcake, and it's like, oh no, we're so sad, and one of them dies, Roxanne dies. But then they get controlled again, but this time by Shadow Bonnie. And this time they get all the Withers get thrown into the bathroom, which is used as a jail cell for some reason, except for Withered Bonnie, who manages to escape and decides to have a character development arc, because he'd kind of been kind of a jerk recently. He's like, wait a second, I can get my friends back. And so he saves all of his friends, and it's all happy and stuff. But then eventually all the Glamrox die, except for Glamrock Freddy. Yeah, and Cupcake kills the Glamrock Chica, and then I think Golden Freddy kills Monty. But then Shadow Bonnie, who previously defeated Shadow Freddy, absorbs his powers and becomes Shadow Trap. But then guess who shows up? These guys, the FNAF house crew, because they finally came back to the pizzeria after all this time. And then in the next like couple of minutes, Shadow Trap is defeated somehow, which is kind of weird, but it happens. And so Shadow Trap's like, oh no, I was going to explode to kill all you guys, but I can only explode to kill myself. And then he explodes, and that's fun. And then it's like, oh, well, it looks like us Wizards guys, and yeah. But then also Puppet reveals that those were the real toys that they killed, but they were fake toys. And then all the animatronics reunite, and it's very cool and stuff. And then you got this thing with a weird title, where basically, turns out Shadow Trap is actually alive, and decides to work with the evil Cupcake, who is also alive. And it's like, wait, it could be cool if it's a villain duo, but it could be a villain trio. But then they go over and they see that King Endo is trying to follow the FNAF house crew, and so they decide to work together. And then Shadow Trap uses his powers, his shadow powers, because he's like the most powerful Shadow animatronic so far, because he's got the powers of both Shadow Freddy and Shadow Bonnie. And so they're all relaxing, all the lads are just relaxing. Like, wait, what the heck? And there's a big black, like, what referred to as the blackout. And so, yeah, and then they all get brought into a different place. To be continued in Attack on the Fake City, which is the crossover movie for my 200 sub special. And then, basically, what happened is that Shadow Trap created this whole city, this whole kind of dimension called the Fake City, and brings all the animatronics there, except along with the Chica animatronics for some reason. So obviously it's a big crossover. But basically what they have to do is they have to go and find the souls for their dead friends. So they manage to find the souls to revive Fredbear, Bonnie, and Spring Bonnie from Chica Chicken. Also because they left Bonnie Bot behind for some reason at the end of the Chica Chicken series, which is kind of mean. And they fight against all these Demon Endo people who were created by the evil Cupcake. And they also revive FNAF House Golden Freddy, and also the Withered Shadow Freddy, who did die when Shadow Bonnie stole his powers, and also Withered Bonnie got his face back for some reason. And so a bunch of them go and fight, big final fight with King Endo and Shadow Trap and the Cupcake. But then, at some point, the original, like, Shadow Freddy comes, because this guy, then it just confirms that Withered Shadow Freddy isn't the original Shadow Freddy, because obviously, it is that guy over there. Why can it not choose this guy? There we go. And so it's like, yeah, can I work with you guys? And like, yeah, sure. And then he gets a new suit, and it's like, yay, I'm so happy now, I've got a new suit, yay. But then King Endo betrays them, because like, I'm a sneaky boy. and so he tells all the animatronics where they are, and he also gives Puppet and Golden Freddy and Shadow Freddy their powers back before kind of bailing on the others, being like, haha, I betrayed you. Like, haha, yeah, you guys freaking suck. You guys suck. So yeah, it's like, you as me. I was me who betrayed you. Haha, see ya. And then Evil Cupcake tried to kill him, but it's too late, and he leaves. Like, no. And so it's just down to the original Shadow Freddy, Shadow Trap, and Evil Cupcake to kill all the guys. But obviously that doesn't work, because then turns out that Shadow Trap realizes that this was his brother the whole time, because remember, the Shadow Trap is still the original Shadow Bonnie. And so it's like, wait, so that other Shadow Freddy that was fighting the whole time wasn't the real Shadow Freddy, like my brother Shadow Freddy, it's you? It's like, yeah, it is, bro. Like big fight stuff, but then Shadow Freddy or Nightmare or whatever kills the Cupcake and steals his powers, and then he becomes this weird Shadow Nightmare guy and stabs freaking Shadow Trap guy, and then he kills him. And so literally all the villains are dead except for King Endo and the new Shadow Nightmare guy. But then, guess what? It wakes up because also Endo got taken by King Endo at the end. It's like, haha, I'm gonna tell you the story about the Golden City, which after like 5 months still hasn't been told and probably won't ever be told, because that was kind of a dumb idea to think about that as an idea for like a video. But then eventually, because with Shadow Trap being killed, the whole like fake city stuff gets destroyed, the whole dimension gets destroyed, and then all the animatronics come back, and then all the Cheeky Chicken animatronics leave, but then Vincent comes back, which is actually in terms of like the videos I like released, is actually the first ever appearance of Vincent, because he's like, I'm the assistant manager, so I'm closing down Freddy Fazbear's, because even after all this time, it still technically hasn't been officially closed, so now it's officially closed. And it's like, alright, well, I suppose these FNAF house guys are gonna live with us from now on. And then Puppet's like, alright, well, all these guys are still here, so that's fun. And then she goes to sleep, and then that's the end. And then we go into the death race, which is, for the time being, like, this really isn't important to the plot, like, until, like, way later on, so I'm just gonna quickly skim through this. Basically, these random characters, none of them you've ever seen before, have to go do some weird parkour stuff called the death race. And they have to, you know, survive, but then the only person who survives is this With a Freddy guy, and then he gets taken away on Thomas the Tank Engine, and that's the end of the video. Now we're into World War Freddy, which is, wait, what the heck? There's the Chicken World Freddy and Fredbear, very cool stuff. But then it's just a bunch of different Freddys fighting and killing each other. Well, there's also Funtime Freddys and Shadow Freddys and Fredbears and Golden Freddy, so it's bears, I suppose you could say. Also some like other guys as well. But just note that none of this is actually real, as we've revealed in the end, because all these, you know, Freddys fight each other, and at the end, the only two Freddys who survive is Glamrock Freddy and also Fredbear, or Commander Fredbear. So these two. That's nice. But then we're chapter 2, where they're kind of just like in the middle of absolutely nowhere, and it's like, oh god, what are we gonna do? But then they find even more Freddys, and so it's more Freddy fighting. But then it's revealed that this guy, Thomas the Freddy fan, that this whole thing was actually just inside a simulation. And for some reason, he was such a big Freddy fan that he wanted to see all the Freddys fight to death to see who'd win. And I was like, hey, you guys are pretty cool. It's like, hey, thanks, but there's only one problem. You made us go through so much pain and torture, and that's not very nice. And so, as you can maybe guess what would happen, is, this would happen. It's like, hey, you're so freaking dumb. I'm gonna slaughter you, you freaking piece of crap. It's like, huh, go on, do what I dare you. It's like, okay, thanks. And then he just lights Thomas up. But so it's in a video game, so it doesn't really count as him actually dying. It's like, oh. And the Glamour Freddy's like, you idiot, you destroyed the creator of the game, now the game itself can be destroyed. But then they wake up and turns out that Thomas the Freddy fan was just a weird, like, nerd who just like, oh, I just want my favorite Freddys to be cool and stuff. But then it turns out that all those Freddys weren't real, except Glamour Freddy and Fredbear were real, because Fredbear is the actual Fredbear from the Chicken series, and the Glamour Freddy is actually the Glamour Freddy who was the only Glamour who survived, you know, in the Withered Animatronics movie thing. So they're like, hey, you look pretty cool. Yeah, so yeah, all my friends are dead. So I'll see you later, buddy. And then Thomas the Freddy fan's like, I'm gonna get my revenge on all those Freddies. I hate Freddies. Well, no, I still like Freddies, but I'm gonna become the coolest Freddy ever. And then I proceed to not have an appearance. This is my only appearance in videos. And then we got into, then we got into the Toys Return Part 2, which takes place like, I think a week later or something. I'm not gonna bother about dates unless the dates are like actually important to the plot. So all these Wither guys are just kind of chilling out. They're just kind of doing stuff. They're planning this whole party stuff because, hey, we survived this many attacks and stuff, we should throw a party for ourselves. But then, just like with Phantom Endo and the original Endo, all the original toys become phantoms out of their wither bodies, and then basically they just systematically take down basically all the animatronics, all the Shadow Freddy's and Bonnies, because then at the end it's only Withered Freddy, Wither Foxy, Wither Chica, and Freddy Foxy, Chica left. And then for part 1, then we go into part 2. Well, basically, yeah, sorry, I've been talking for way too long. I think I need to get a drink. But anyway, also, Golden Freddy got frozen at some point in part 1, sorry, so that's why it wasn't really that, important. Oh no, wait, sorry, I was wrong. Back when, in the fake city, they actually didn't revive, FNAF House, Golden Freddy, because he's still dead. Because that's going to be an important plotline soon. And so, the Withers can talk people out of it, and like, then turns out that all the toys wanted was their old bodies back. Like, it's understandable. So then, Mangle talks with Phantom Toy Freddy after he beats up everyone and convinces him to be good, and then all the Phantom Toys are good again. And so, Puppet then puts the Phantom Toys back in their original suits, even though they're all still withered, as you can see here. Like, yeah, you know what, I'm just gonna go find something to do. And so then they kind of just chill, and that's kind of it. Then we get into Candy's Burgers and Fries get shut down. Finally, a video that's not about like that main group. And also, yes, just note that there are certain parts of this series where literally a ton of characters are introduced in a very short period of time, so that's nice. So yeah, it's very cool. So this is obviously you got the Candy's gang, which once again nothing much happens. It's just the Candy's gang. You got Candy, Cindy, Chester, Old Candy, Blank, Rat, Cat, and the 3 penguins. But then there's this random kids who show up and kind of ruin everything. Oh, I'm sorry, Chester ruins everything because he's weird and stuff. And it's like, oh, I kill people and ooga booga and cool stuff like that. But then the manager of the place is this guy. He was like, wait a second, I remember this guy. That's right, it's the old man from the freaking Golden Saga thing who got fired by Vincent when Dave Miller showed up. And then yeah, turns out he was actually running this whole place this whole time. It's like, I'm so freaking mad, gets an axe, kills 2 of the 3 penguins, and then the rest of them escape. And it's like, you know what, screw it, somebody's gonna shut down this place. So yeah. But then there was also some customers that showed up. Like Chester killed all the customers, but one of the customers that called Tony actually did survive. And so then he goes into like this FBI place, finds a bunch of these animatronics, and realizes, oh wait, then the guy who runs the place shows back up, and then Tony has to hide, so he hides inside of the Sunken Toy Bonnie like suit or whatever. But then Shaman, Freddy, and Sparky, who are the 2 other animatronics there, kill the other guy who's actually part of the Collectors, who will be another group that's important later. And then Tony's like, hey, this is pretty cool. But then he accidentally trips and falls when he escapes and snaps his neck and dies inside the suit. And then he possesses the Sunken Toy Bonnie suit. So now he's an animatronic. Also, he burns down the place, so that's nice. And then we go on to this part 2 of the Candy thing, which is Candy opens as a casino, which is kind of clickbait because he doesn't open a casino, he finds a casino, but still. Then all the gang show up and find... I finally meet Shadow Candy, who's actually Candy and Cindy's brother, which is cool. And I definitely need to bring this like location back because this location is actually really cool. And so nothing much else happens. They just kind of talk and stuff. But at the end, it turns out Shadow Candy's doing something weird with Cat and Rat, who've been unconscious or dead this whole time. And then you have the rise of Shadow Candy, which guess what happens? Turns out Shadow Candy's actually evil. And then he turns Cat and Rat evil. Well, sort of. They've always been evil, apparently. But then he shadowifies Blank and Cindy, and yes, and then drives Chester, Penguin, Old Candy, and Candy out of the casino while they all go and chase. So then it's the shadow, and then also just don't worry about these guys because they don't appear for ages afterwards, because yeah, there is big gaps between some of the series. But then we got into the next part of the Withered series, which is the search for the soul, which takes place like a couple of weeks later, I think. I'm not sure. I'm gonna stop with the weeks and stuff. So then then Bonnie's really depressed because he was simping over Golden Freddy when Golden Freddy's dead. And he's like, oh, I want Golden Freddy back. But then he like punches Withered Freddy because he's so mad. I was like, oof, I'm so mad, guys. Oof, big mad. I'm big mad. Where does he punch him? I think he punches him around here. Yeah, it's like big punch. Ow, my bones. But then during the night, the puppet agrees to help the FNAF crew, the FNAF house crew, go find Golden Freddy's soul. So then they go to this nice forest place. And it's like, we gotta look for his soul. But then they have more character development and stuff. And Bond's like, I'm sorry for being so mean. But then they find Endo, who remember was kidnapped at the end of the fake city, but he's all zombified and stuff. But then it turns out the Golden Freddy's soul is inside of Endo, which means that Endo's soul itself must have been dead. So poor Endo is dead, and then his soul then his body just disintegrates. It's like, what the heck? But then they get Golden Freddy's soul back, but then they see, as they leave, you see King Endo, and then you see the real Endo. Turns out that King Endo created that zombie Endo as a ploy to try and stop Endo's friends for trying to find him, because obviously they think he's dead, when the real Endo isn't actually dead. And then it's all psychological torture and stuff. And then the good part at the end of the video is that Goldie's back, yay! Goldie, the whole gang is back together. And then we get to this, the second part in this little trilogy of mine, which takes place like the day afterwards, or the same day. With Goldie back alive, which is all funny and happy times. But then, Withered Chica is always wondering, well, Toy Cupcake got turned evil by Shadow Bonnie, and then he took the other FNAF House Chica's cupcake, so I wonder what happened to my original cupcake. But then, yeah, this cupcake, this Ooga Booga cupcake, who was kind of here the whole time, once again I forgot to mention him. They go on the FNAF House Chica and Withered Chica, and also Toy Chica kind of at the end. Go down to the cellar along with Puppet, and guess who they find? They find the original cupcake, and also they find this Endo, which is actually, if you remember, the Endo that was the original body of the fake puppet before it became a puppet. So yeah, and then, but funny, very wholesome times, the original cupcake is back. Very wholesome, very wholesome. But then, and then obviously they're showing off the cupcake to the toys, who now live in the back room, just like Forever and the gang. But then at the end, it turned out the Ooga Booga cupcake was working for someone secretive. He was working for the fake puppet, who's still alive. Well, it's dead, but it's a phantom now, phantom puppet. So that's very cool. But then in this final part of this little trilogy, the animatronics get fixed. Basically, all that happens is that Withered Freddy gets some new parts, and then the FNAF House animatronics get some shiny new clothes, which is the attire they're in up until currently in my lore. And so they all have a good going away party where they all chill out and they just talk to the last of the Withereds. And then also, yeah, Withered Foxy likes to watch porn. Yeah, I kind of forgot to mention that, but sorry for being a bit, a bit kind of forward with it, a bit, yeah, no, that's just what he watches, so yeah. And then the FNAF House crew leave, but then the Ooga Booga cupcake and the Phantom Puppet, or Fake Puppet, whichever one you want to call it, it's like, ha 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 ha, ha ha ha, my time's almost ready. And I'm also gonna use my powers to give my old body a new suit, a new life for some reason. But then we pass out of the pizzeria for once, into this where, we meet the FNAF House crew, and so kind of just trying to find a way to the bank to get some money to buy the new FNAF house. And guess what? Who Golden Freddy finds? He finds Springtrap, who, yes, is the original Springtrap, who, burned down Fazbear's Fright, the original Spring Bonnie, all that stuff. But at the moment he is Spring Bonnie, he's not Afton and stuff, because it's like a Jekyll and Hyde, because sometimes he's Afton, sometimes he's not, so yeah. And then basically Springtrap just joins the group. And now we go a complete 180 with a completely group of new characters, because the Styles Animatronics go to school, the 5-part series. Then there's a bunch of random characters who aren't really that important. The only characters who are actually returning are Baldy, the Baldy Principal Trap, which is the other Springtrap, and Mr. Golden, or sorry, Professor Golden, or Frederick, or Golden Freddy. Remember these guys? Yeah, from at the end of the Golden Saga. Yeah, so they actually started their own school. And then literally all that happens is that they just take classes, and that's kind of it. There's some weird drama going on, but that's about it. And also, yeah. So, but then in part 2, something more interesting happens, because they all come back, but this is like a weekend. Like, wait, we're not supposed to be in school on the weekend, but we have to clean up after ourselves for some reason. And so a bunch of these random characters, who will probably be important sometime later, do some routine school cleanup. Oh, excuse me. But then, then it's like, well, what the heck's going on? Something's weird happening. But then, this weird demon guy called Big Bear, who was locked in the attic of the school, kind of shows up literally out of nowhere. He got awakened from his tomb and starts beating people up and starts wrecking everything, even after they started fixing all the chairs and tables and stuff. It's like, "Rah, super cool kick stuff." But then at the end, like, what happens? Oh yeah, Principal Trap brings out the fizz gun, which is basically like just a really cool gun. For some reason, at some point, I think maybe that's not. Maybe that's does that happen at some other point? I'm not sure, but yeah. And then basically, he just pulled out the fizz gun. He pulled out the fizz gun and uses it on Big Bear. It's like, wait, what's going on? And then Big Bear just literally gets yeeted. It's like, what? No! And so that happens, and then the day is saved and all that cool stuff. Then day 3, these videos are way too long. I don't know why they're so long, but yeah. Then basically, also there's this new principal guy who tries to take over Springtrap's job, but then Baldi ends up shooting a bunch of people. And there's also one of the students called Barney who has a gun, and then the cops are called, and Baldi has a big shootout with the cops, and Freddy, which is Barney's friend, gets shot. But also Baldi gets shot. But it turns out that Baldi was actually like working against the Principal Trap and Golden Freddy the whole time, so he gets arrested. So that's nice. And yeah, that's about it. Then we're on to day 4. We're almost done. So then basically what happens here? So then basically Barney and Freddy come back. It's like, hey, wait, Freddy got shot during that time. The school did nothing, so we're gonna blow up the school. And so yeah, that's kind of all that happens. They just try and find a way to blow up the school. But then also FNAF House Bonnie apparently got kidnapped on his way to the new FNAF house and gets brought here. And then at the end, the school gets blown up. And then on to the final part. Oh, sorry, we have to do a bit of an intermission. We go to Sparky and the Misfits, which, if you remember, Sparky from that one Sung and Toy Bonnie video, after he left with Shamrock Freddy, well, they went their separate ways, but then he wakes up here, meets Stylus Withered Freddy, who's this random guy, also Funtime Freddy and Funtime Foxy, but they're prototypes, and also Dracula Foxy, and also, I think, is that it? I think that's it. And so then this is more like collector's lore. So the collectors, basically, they're just a group of humans who like take animatronics and sell them for parts on the black market to make money. And so, oh yeah, also Stylus Endo from the school series is here, because he kind of got a gun and started shooting people in school. I don't know how I think about I don't know how I feel about, the school series. They have a lot of guns in it, but oh well. And then basically all that happens is that all the collectors die except for one of them, but then he managed to get the Funtime Freddy and Funtime Foxy guy, and so yeah, then that's it. And then we're on to the final part of the Stylus animatronics thing. So basically the school blows up, but then the Shadow animatronics who got taken, who got trapped in this back room by Principal Trap and Golden Freddy before they opened the school, they break out. But then it turns out that Big Bear comes back because he was also trapped. And so the Shadow animatronics work with Big Bear, but then the Shadow animatronics beat up everyone, but for some reason they decide to leave when they easily could have won. And there's also a big nuke, and then Big Bear just gets freaking yeeted by the nuke. Look, there's me. And yeah, and then Big Bear dies, and the school's nuked. Like it was blown up the first time, but then just got nuked. Then Springtrap feels bad and he leaves. And then Golden Freddy's like, wait, Springtrap, where'd you go? Oh no, Springtrap, oh no. And then he goes to try to find Springtrap, and then also yeah, all the other school people kind of left. I think like the chefs and a couple of them died as well. I think Mario died because he was a chef, but then he got like killed. I know, but okay, so for you guys it's gonna be like a quick cut, but for me I'm gonna take like a, oh god, this video is already an hour long. Oh golly gee, and how many videos are we into? We are currently in 40 videos. We still have almost 100 videos left. Jesus Christ. Alright, I'll be back in a couple. Well, for you guys it'll be a quick cut, but for me I'm gonna take a bit of a break. I'm gonna go to the bathroom stuff. I'll be back, don't worry. Okay, I'm back. Alright, let's try and see if we can go through a bit more of a wraparound. So yeah, now after we got into a whole new series, which is Freddy Mask security guy. So if you remember back, I was talking about just a guy called Jeremy. This is Jeremy Fitzgerald, like from the games, and Glitchtrap is a character now. Basically, they just Glitchtrap basically welds Jeremy's Freddy mask to his face. That's why it's called Freddy Mask security guy, because he's security guy with a Freddy mask. This is one of my favorite, like, fan-made, own custom characters. But then basically they just kill all the animatronics in the pizzeria and they leave. And then we go on to part 2. I think, did this save? I think did this work? I'm trying to think of something. Yeah, it's fine, because I had to change the style of the playlist a little bit. So basically they're in, where are they in? In New York? Okay, apparently they're in New York somehow. So yeah, and then they go to New York, and then Nightmare shows up. But then it's kind of confusing, because so basically this hasn't been explained yet, but actually no, I won't explain it. So yeah, I'm not going to explain it, because then there'll be spoilers for videos that haven't even come out yet. So basically, Nightmare shows up, he's kind of weakened for some reason, but then he kind of gets his strength back, and then the, stylized Dendo and stylized with a Freddy and the cupcake from the Spark and Misfits video trying to get some money, but then Nightmare beats them all up, and then this guy kind of goes crazy. And also, funny story, I accidentally hit end recording rather than pause recording when Jeremy comes back and hits this guy with a car. It's like, what the heck? Oh! And so then part 4 picks up, or part 3, sorry, picks up directly afterwards. As I experienced, Glitchtrap wake up, and so they get their freaking money, and then they leave, because they need money from the homeless shelter, because they're homeless. But then some of these animatronics actually survived from the original pizzeria. And so Glitchtrap and Jeremy kind of crash that car by accident, and they go into this weird abandoned Freddy's location, and then they meet, guess who they meet again? They meet Nightmare again, and he kills all those remaining animatronics. But then Jeremy and Glitchtrap leave, but then Nightmare meets up with King Endo, yeah, because they stayed in touch after they fixed City, and so they're kind of working together now, so that's cool. Now we got into the fake puppet's rampage. So basically, the fake puppet, that whole story, and basically, Wither Freddy gets some new parts for the toys, and the toys finally get fixed after all this time. And so the Phantom Puppet, or fake puppet, gives life to its Endo version, and yeah, and then it attacks and doesn't kill, but like kind of disables all the withered animatronics, except for withered Golden Freddy, who once again just falls asleep. And then Shadow Freddy has literally done nothing. Literally, this guy has done nothing since the Withered series, or the Withered animatronics movie. Opens his eyes like, oh no. And originally I was gonna have this guy play a big part in part 2. Kind of forgot about him, and so I changed his story a little bit. Because if you realize there's a bit of something different that happens if you realize a bit later on. But yeah, basically the toys who are the only remaining animatronics fight the Ooga Booga Cupcake and the Endo and Phantom Puppet, but then the Endo turns good, and the Ooga Booga Cupcake dies, and then the Phantom Puppet possesses the real puppet, but then guess who shows up? It's none other than Big Daddy Nightmare, because and also his Nightmare group, because the Nightmare gang are back together, because he has Nightmare Freddy and Nightmare bonding with him now. Well, that's nice. And so he's like, okay, fake puppet, you're gonna work for us now. I was like, well, no. But it's like, yes. And then all the toys leave to bring the Withers back to normal. And so then Nightmare turns fake puppet into Nightmarion, who just drops from the heavens. And then Nightmarion is there for some reason. And then the Withers leave, or the Nightmares leave, sorry. And then we get into Freddy Musketeer Part 4. Basically, they're in this weird plaza place. Basically all that happens, well, there is some important stuff. Basically, this weird, like, side plot about, like, a weird cult church place, and Jeremy meets all these weird Endo people. And this weird girl called Vanessa gets obsessed with Glitchtrap, but Glitchtrap gets abducted by this weird kind of grey Phantom Freddy-esque looking guy, who I might bring back because he's actually kind of a cool character. But then the grey, basically what happens is the grey Phantom Freddy guy kills Glitchtrap, but then he also kills Vanny, and then Glitchtrap's soul goes into Vanny, but then Glitchtrap's soul goes out of Vanny, but that also brings Vanny back to life, and now she's more obsessed with him. And then Jeremy kind of kills the Black Light or Dark Time or Black Time Funtime Freddy guy. And Glitchup is back alive, and that's Vanessa, or Vanny, or whatever. Or I suppose it would be Vanny. Well, her full name is Vanessa. But also, yeah, and then she has a fursuit for some reason. And then Vanny is now here, yay! Also, yes, I will be using that Vanny costume the whole time, because that's the best Vanny model, I think, in my opinion. And then we go on to, finally, the final part of Freddy Mask Security, part 5. Where they go to the sewers and they meet some old friends of Glitchtrap. And Glitchtrap reveals his backstory. But then the wedding gift that Vanny was gonna give to Glitchtrap because she was gonna marry him apparently, reveals Malhair, who is like Glitchtrap's brother, because they were originally one entity, like who were supposed to be like a carbon copy, like a digital code of William Afton. But then Glitchtrap became the kind of good side, and Malhair became the very, very bad side. And so Malhair just fights for like 30-40 minutes. And becomes this weird abomination thing, this full power Malhair, which hasn't been seen since. And Glitchtrap dies again, and Jeremy takes his powers, and it becomes, because Glitchtrap's full powers, he has like green with the yellow eyes, or green with purple eyes, and then obviously that's what happens to Jeremy when he steals or takes Glitchtrap's powers, and Glitchtrap dies. But then at the very end, Vanny manages to capture Malhair inside of the wedding gift, which is the only way to actually capture him. But then also, yeah, Jeremy gives Glitchtrap his powers back, but Jeremy also, like, he kind of keeps some of Glitchtrap's powers, which is nice. And I'm not sure if I explained how he loses them, or maybe he still has them. I can't remember my lore sometimes. And then Nightmare shows up and is like, "Hey guys, I'm very cool. Don't worry about it." And then he just kind of steals Vanny's wedding gift with Malhair inside of it, and then screws off. And then they go to Spain or somewhere, I think. And then Nightmare's Army, which takes place kind of weirdly. Okay, I might have to change that because it's kind of confusing, because like the Nightmare's Army stuff takes place directly after the Fake City or the Fake Puppets Rampage, because Nightmare Freddy and Nightmare Bonnie and Nightmare come through the portal like at the end of that. But then Nightmare also appeared at the end of part 5, so I kind of have to have part 5 take place before the Fake Puppet Rampage. But whatever. And so literally all that happens is that Nightmare revives Malhair. Also, yeah, Nightmare on is or Fake Puppet is part of Nightmares now, and basically Nightmare revives Malhair, and now he's under control of Nightmare and his brother Nightmare Fredbear. Like, oh no! Also Nightmare, also Phantom, or also King Endo was there for a little bit, I think. And then Nightmare Fredbear and Nightmare have this long spiel about stuff that was going to be canon, but it's no longer canon, so it's not important. And then we get into the Return of Shadow Bonnie. Oh my gosh! And so the toys are still trying to work out how to fix the Wizards. And also, if you remember, Endo's good now. And also, Golden Freddy finally wakes up. But then Shadow Bonnie starts seeing some weird stuff in the window. Because if you realize, it's like, wait a second, I don't see anything though. There's nothing there. There's nothing there, Toy Bonnie. I don't know what you mean, bro. Like, yeah, see, there's nothing there. There's nothing there, Toy Bonnie. But Toy Bonnie keeps seeing Shadow Bonnie, which I actually think this is a really cool scene. But then, because obviously it's just a figment of Toy Bonnie's imagination. But then Toy Bonnie gets possessed by Shadow Bonnie again, because if you remember back when Shadow Bonnie put his body or put his soul inside the fake evil clone Toy Bonnie, a part of it still remained inside the normal Toy Bonnie. But it kind of turned, it manifested into Shadow Bonnie, but for some reason it was powerful enough to manifest a whole new body for Shadow Bonnie. So Shadow Bonnie and now Toy Bonnie are separate. Also, Shadow Bonnie is a good guy now because he's wholesome. Also, he sets Toy Chica and Toy Bonnie on fire to show his Sigma male prowess. And then that's the end of that. And then Shadow Bonnie's there. And now Nightmare Foxy's raging alcoholism, which, guess what? It's time for more new random characters. So Nightmare Foxy, because he gets a day off at the end of Nightmare's Army, and then he just kind of goes to a bar. And then he's like, wait a second, I feel like I recognize you. Or, well, no, we would recognize him, because this is Principal Trap, the guy, who left at the end. Yeah, Principal Trap, who the Principal Trap is. And then he's working for this Irish shamrock bear who runs a bar because he's Irish. And not much happens, but then Sunken Toy Bonnie, he finally comes back, and they realize, wait, because if you think about it, Shamrock Bonnie, or Shamrock Freddy, and Sunken Toy Bonnie would recognize each other back from the FBI stuff, and so the Nightmare shows up, takes Nightmare Foxy back, and then leaves. And then we got into the Golden Freddy's Diner, Golden Toy Freddy's Diner, which is more new characters. You got Golden Toy Freddy, you got like Shadow Toy Freddy, you got Dark Toy Freddy, I think his name was. You got Golden Toy Bonnie, you got Toy Trap, which is Golden Toy Bonnie's older brother, who is this guy. And then you got another random Golden Toy Freddy who just, I mean, doesn't do much. He's kind of dead. Yeah, he's just kind of dead in the back. But then basically Shadow Toy Freddy accidentally burns down the place, and they all go their separate ways. But then the only important really thing that happens here is that Toy Trap always wanted to become an estate agent for some reason, and then changes his colors and becomes this weird Toy Bonnie guy. And then onto the Shadow Freddy Goes Missing, where it just turns out, wait a second, we haven't seen Shadow Freddy in like ages, and so Withered Freddy, Withered Chica, and Toy Bonnie go looking for Shadow Freddy, and then they find him, but he looks kind of different. But then you realize it cuts to Nightmare's base, where the real Shadow Freddy is trying to infiltrate it, but then Nightmare catches Shadow Freddy and hangs him up. And so the real Shadow Freddy has been kidnapped, but there's a fake Shadow Freddy inside the pizzeria. They move to new FNAF house finally, because all the gang finally gets new FNAF house, and then there's the estate agent Toy Bonnie. I told you he was important because he's now he's a FNAF house character. Yeah. And so basically they just go into the FNAF house, knock everything over, and that's it. Then Golden Freddy remembers, which is really trippy, by the way. Basically, Golden Freddy has this weird dream about back in, you know, these old days, you remember, and then basically the whole spiel of it is that it's revealed to him that Fredbear and him are the same people. Because up until this point, because even at this point, I hadn't actually even recorded the Origins video, and technically it isn't specifically said that Golden Freddy is Fredbear, so it's a big plot twist. The original Fredbear is Golden Freddy, and then he wakes up in like the half reality kind of thing. It's weird. I didn't have the map working for the FNAF house, so I had to use this map instead. Probably could have found a better one, but oh well. And then to reveal that if Golden Freddy is Fredbear and Springtrap is Spring Bonnie, that means brother. So yeah, Golden Freddy, Springtrap's brother. Big reveal. Wow. And then we get onto the mysteries of the FNAF house, where Plushtrap, one of the Nightmares obviously, infiltrates the FNAF house because the Nightmares are going to attack the FNAF house, and then he basically beats up everyone, and then he leaves without being caught. I might be missing over like some important details, but honestly I can't remember. I can't be bothered to go through the entire video, because if I actually watch these entire videos through and through, this video would, I mean this video is already probably like an hour and a half long, right? Well, an hour 15 minutes. Then yeah, we'd literally be here all day, probably even longer. But then we get my kind of sort of Halloween series, sort of, that'll be kind of like going on for my Halloween stuff. Basically, it's the Tale of Spooky Freddy. You get the Spling animatronics, they order this new Spooky Freddy guy, and Spooky Freddy attacks him, kills Foxy, turns Foxy into Spooky Foxy while the others escape into like a forest place, and that's the end of part 1. In part 2, they get all chased by Spooky Foxy and Spooky Freddy. Chica gets killed by Spooky Foxy, I think, and then gets turned into Spooky Chica. And then Golden Freddy, Freddy, and Bonnie, who are the ones who survive, get trapped in the cabin, but then they manage to escape. And go into part 3, where Goldie, Freddy, and Bonnie go to this weird, it's now it's day, and they go into this weird like kind of place, and then Bonnie gets sacrificed and gets turned into Spooky Bonnie, but then also Goldie loses his like his eyesight, so he also gets like, yeah, he gets beaten up along with friends like, no please don't do it, but then say ha ha ha, die. And then they push Goldie into the water, and then poor Goldie man dies. Boom. Yeah, he gets pushed by Spooky Bonnie into the water. Rip Goldie. But then it turns out that wasn't the real Goldie, because the real Goldie was actually turned into, because that was just a spare suit, but the real Goldie was actually turned into Spooky Fredbear, or Spooky Golden Freddy, or whatever. But then it turns out Spooky animatronics are actually kind of not well, they're demons, but like they're kind of nice. All Spooky Freddy wanted was some new friends. Since he has some new friends, he feels bad for getting rid of Freddy's old friends, so he brings all his Splinks back because he can do that apparently. And so Spooky animatronics leave, hasn't been seen since, and also the Splinks leave and haven't been seen since. Then we got into more new characters, yay! Had so many new characters, Jesus Christ. I should really stop making new characters. I probably will for the time being, but yeah. So we got the ignited animatronics in the city, where it's literally just the animatronics wake up in the sewer and it's like, wait a second, what's going on here? But then we get the big return of the Chica Chicken animatronics, who haven't been seen since the return of the pizzeria. But then they don't really do much. They kind of beat up the ignited because they thought they were gonna like attack them. And then Mickey Mouse and Kermit, who are demons in this universe, kind of show up. And there's also this weird like Endo Wither Bonnie guy, and he just kind of dies. It's like, look guys, I'm so cool, whoa, and then he dies. And then the ignited gets new suits, but they're still ignited. But then the only important part of this video is that FNAF House Springtrap is on his way to get some milk, and ignited Freddy thinks he looks at him kind of funny, so then they go try and hunt him down. And then FNAF House Springtrap eventually finds William Afton's old home. Like, whoa, this place looks pretty cool. And then he gets attacked by the Phantom, the igniteds, but then turns out, oh, he actually didn't look at him kind of funny, and after beating him up, they just leave. And then the animatronics get ready for Halloween, because we're going to Halloween stuff now. Well, I already said we were going to Halloween stuff, but we are. And so they're really bored and stuff, it's like, oh no, and it's, wait a second, it's Halloween. So then they all get set up for Halloween, very spooky stuff. Yeah, very, very nice, very nice. But then I think the only really important stuff is that Wither Foxy has this weird apparition about like a weird like nightmare mangle kind of thing, like spooky. And that's about it. And then Bloom Boy and JJ are allowed to go to a haunted house place. And that's where the next video goes to. Bloom Boy and JJ explore a haunted house. I actually really like this map. Basically, Bloom Boy and JJ just explore a haunted house, and they meet even more new characters, the Jacko animatronics, but not these Jacko animatronics. And then turns out the Jacko animatronics are kind of nice, which is kind of a trend at this point. But then it's called the Jacko Manor Curse because they can't actually leave their manor. And so BB and JJ leave, and that's fun. But then we go into Jacko Mansion Curse, which is actually one of my favorite videos, which is a really Halloween-esque video. But basically, there's a bunch of random people. These guys kind of pray to the Pumpkin Lord. Basically, they have to get him souls to feast him, to feed him. Sorry, but he allows them like I think 8 hours or something outside of the manor to collect some food for him. So they go and they kill a bunch of people to get some food. But then they rebel, and they find this stuff and they start killing everyone. There's also some weird demons, and there's also and then the pumpkin demon, which is another demon just like Spooky Animatronics, yeah. But then there's the pumpkin demon turns a sheep into a Jacko sheep, and the Jacko sheep is really OP for some reason. Also Jacko sheep is best character, you can't lie. And so Jacko sheep just has a big throwdown and just rips off the pumpkin lord's head, as you can see right here. And snap. Just freaking decapitates him. That's lovely. And then they leave, but then also before they leave, this pumpkin Golden Freddy guy kind of wakes up and gets his friend Frank and Freddy to wake up. Also Dreadbear's there, but then Nightmare finds the place, and then finds Dreadbear and takes Dreadbear, and then burns down this place. I kind of want to bring this place back maybe at some point because this place is actually kind of cool. But yeah, then Nightmare burns it down because he's evil and stuff. And then we get into Freddy gets possessed by DeBaby. Yes, the name implies what the video is about. This weird 666 thing. Basically, DeBaby, Freddy gets tricked into reviving DeBaby, and DeBaby kills Freddy and possesses his body. And then DeBaby Freddy beats up everyone, and they think they can save DeBaby Freddy, Freddy from DeBaby, but they actually can't. And so Freddy, possessed by DeBaby, then leaves. And it's actually a weirdly long time until he actually gets helped. And then the official Halloween special, Halloween night at Freddy Fazbear's. Basically, the main gist of stuff that happens is the Wizards and Toys and everything, all the gang, are like getting ready for decorations and everything. But then the FNAF House crew show up, and so do the Jacko animatronics, because also yeah, this Jacko Toy Bonnie guy kind of exists, and they're gonna fight these guys, if I was talking before. And then also Puppet finally gets to talk to, FNAF House Golden Freddy and Springtrap after such a long time, because this is the OG group. And then also these stylized guys, also at the end of Golden Freddy meets Springtrap. Style is with the Freddy meets all his other Style is with it friends, and they steal all the candy. And then also, yeah, I'll tell about that. And then also, Chica Chicken's group kind of shows up at some point as well. Also, the big reveal or the big return. And then also, finally, what happens after so long is that Afton possesses Springtrap, or kind of takes over control. And then big fight with Puppet and Goldie versus Springtrap. But then also with the Golden Freddy shows up, and then Afton's soul is exorcised from Springtrap, because apparently Puppet can do exorcisms, but Afton's soul gets free and hasn't been seen since. And then at the end of the video, basically, Nightmare Fredbear uses Lightning Rod to revive Fredbear, which you remember Nightmare took in the last video. Was it last video? I think it was last video. Oops, did not mean to do that. And then basically, Jacko Freddy's like, where'd all my friends go? And there was this old man kind of took out all his friends, and so this old man's gonna be important later. It's like, haha, time to make an ice Christmas style diner with these Halloween animatronics for some reason. And then that's the end of the Halloween special. Then this takes place directly afterwards. This takes place like that night after Nightmare Fredbear revives Dreadbear and all this stuff. Basically all that happens is that him and all the Nightmares were actually lying about to Plush Trap the Freddles about attacking the FNAF house, and so basically they just abandon them, and then that's it, and they just get abandoned in the house. And then Balloon Boy steals Wither Freddy's beans, the most random video ever. Literally, it just talks about how much Wither Freddy loves his beans, and then BB and JJ steal them, and he tries to get the beans back, but at the end he realizes, wait a second, I already ate all the beans. So then when BB is gonna be like, haha, yes, I finally ate all the beans, haha. But then he's like, crap, all these beans are all this effort for nothing. All these freaking beans are empty. The can of beans is empty. And then we got the day in the life of Withered Foxy, which is another kind of random video. Basically, all the gang are just playing. I made a bunch of other Withered Foxy centric videos because this video had very little to do with Withered Foxy. Basically, all that happens is that all the animatronics are playing a ball game, and Withered Foxy is depressed, and he kind of gets feelings for Mangle, and Mangle gets feelings for him, and with the Bonnie rages as how good a video games Toy Freddy is, and Toy Freddy rages as how good a video games Wither Bonnie is. But then at the end, Toy Bonnie and Withered Foxy kind of get a bit of a bromantic scene right here. You know, bros. I should probably do more bromantic stuff between these two because they're bros. But yeah, maybe soon. And then what time are we at right now? I do not know. We're almost an hour and a half. We've actually made some good progress. Basically, a funeral friendo. I think at this point it's been like 4 months, maybe. No wait, how long has it been? Yeah, I think like on this video it marks 4 months, like in time since Endo died, or at least they thought Endo died. So then basically they just have like a funeral for Endo, but obviously King Endo does more traumatizing stuff to Endo by showing him his grave. It's like, your friends really think you're gone, you fool, and I'm gonna do prison stuff, which hasn't even been recorded yet. And then we get the second Wither Foxy centric video. I think there's another 2 afterwards, and then it's done. Also, the Wither series at this point is almost over. It will be like ending at some point. And not even yet, but it will at some point. So basically, with the Foxy's Nightmare, just some of the guys like Puppet, Mangle, and Toy Freddy kind of talk about how, you know, Wither Foxy's kind of depressed. But then Wither Foxy just has Nightmare, and he meets Nightmare Mangle, which remember he saw in I'm trying to say word for Halloween, because it turns out that Nightmare Mangle actually attached her soul to Foxy's, but then it escapes Foxy's soul and goes into Mangle's soul. It's like, what's going on? And then they go and they try and find some ball games to play, and it's like, and then Toy Bon's like, hey, let's play that ball game again. But then Shadow Freddy's like, no. Remember, this is the fake Shadow Freddy, not the real Shadow Freddy. And then, he's, Wither Foxy's feeling a little bit better. And then the Toy Freddy goes to 7-Eleven, which is a FNAF 6 anniversary special. I didn't know, well, it has FNAF 6 characters, but I didn't know it was FNAF 6 anniversary special, so that's actually a secondary addition little stuff. So basically, Toy Freddy needs to go get some milk, meet Happy Frog, and also like Jeremy and Glitchtrap and a bunch of random characters. But the most important characters he finds is Spring Bonnie and Fredbear version 6, who were, you know, in the FNAF house or the animatronic factory, more of those characters, and they haven't been seen since, and they all escape at the end. Bye. The end. And then Endo's Gas Station Mayhem, more new characters. Basically, this is gas station run by Endo people. They talk to customers and stuff. But then Funtime Freddy shows up, because I think canonically this is the Funtime Freddy that you saw at the end of, like, or in Sparky and Misfits. Like, that was the prototype version, but this is the proper, like, finished version. Obviously, you got Bonbon as well. And then, yeah. Alright, yeah, sorry about that, I had to sneeze. Anyway, yeah, then, Funtime Freddy and Bonbon prove themselves to the Endos, and then the Endos kind of bring them into their own little group. So that's nice. And then we get more new characters, yay! I told you there was a bunch of new characters that just show up randomly. You got Red Bear's Adventure, where you got Red Rabbit, or sorry, well, that's actually kind of a cool name, Red Rabbit. But you got White Rabbit, Red Bear, you know, all those FNAF House, or the, why do I keep saying FNAF House? FNAF World enemies from the game. Also, you got Tangle and Virtual Freddy, and then all that happens is that, Red Bear goes to the Endo's gas station, tries to get some ingredients for pepperoni pizza, and then he comes back and sees that this old man, who he got the same old man from all those videos, it kind of went insane and kind of beat everyone up. And then part 2 takes place directly afterwards. Basically, White Rabbit blames Red Bear and stuff, but then no one else blames Red Bear. And then Tangle and Virtual Freddy and Red Bear fight the old man, because he's got this big weird, like, Bloom Boy thing, but then Bloom Boy shows his really freaking cursed toes. Like, look at those cursed toes. And then, yeah, as you can tell, yeah, Red Bear gets kind of mad when he sees that cursedness. So then he goes Super Saiyan and kills the Bloom Boy guy. But then for some reason the diner thing goes on fire, and then Tangle can't leave White Rabbit, who's inside the diner, and goes to save him, but she passes out, and then there's Black Rabbit, evilness. And so for the time being, only Red Bear actually managed to escape the area. I'm not sure what happened to Virtual Freddy, can't be bothered to check, but he's still alive, not for sure. And then finally we get back to Candy after like an hour or something. Actually probably not as much, but you know what I mean. And basically all Candy's gang still running from the shadows after months. Basically what happens, they meet up with Jeremy and Glitchtrap, who are kind of recurring characters at this point, since their main series is over. They save Cindy from the shadowification, but Chester then gets shadowfied, which I suppose is what you say, the Shadow Chester. And then they go to the collector's kind of warehouse area, and obviously that's Glitchtrap saving Cindy. And then Candy leaves Cat and Rat because they suck, and they're going to try and prove themselves. And then this, which is, I kind of have this in the Freddy Mask Security Guy playlist, even though it's not really, even though it really shouldn't be. Basically, there's this weird, like, kind of crime boss guy, Ned Bear kind of guy, and basically Vandy, Glitchtrap, and Jeremy kind of just beating him up. So basically, Jeremy falls off a freaking, like, 10-story building, but he manages to survive thanks to his security mask, or his Freddy mask, but for some weird reason, he, oh yeah, because also considering he loses his powers as well, like his cool glowing eye, because technically Glitchtrap's powers is what like made his head, the Freddy Mask head, like be welded to his head. So when he lost the head, he also lost his powers. But Glitchtrap can't seem to actually weld the head to his face again. But then oh, that's where I had this weird screenshot. I didn't know where it came from, but that's where it came from. And then basically, Vanny takes the head, and then, but Jeremy can finally get some new clothes, so new drip for Jeremy. And so, yeah, but then this evil Fredbear guy, who is going to be important at some point, convinces Ned Bear guy to try and take over the world with him, and so that's going to be at some point. Then you get the Bite of 87, which is one of my favorite videos ever. It's really cool. Basically, the FNAF House gang are just kind of chilling with the Withers, because they kind of just visit from time to time. And they're just kind of chilling out, doing very random stuff. But then Jeremy, Vandy, and Glitchtrap come, and they're gonna... I'm not sure why they came, but they came. But then Mangle, if you remember, is still being, like, possessed by... is being possessed by... or not possessed, but is, like, sharing a soul with enamored Mangle, so she kind of goads Mangle into like killing Jeremy. Well, not killing him, but biting his face off. You know, bite of 87. Yeah. And that's actually like canonical in the actual, you know, FNAF games. You know, him being the bite of 87 victim, very cool. And then Mangle, I think like in actual canon like lore, I think Mangle did actually do the bite of 87. But yeah, and then Glitch up like, this place sucks. Come on, Vanny, let's go save Jeremy's life. Oh, excuse me. And then we get the FNAF Ops gang goes Christmas shopping, where literally they just go Christmas shopping. And they meet the Endos, and that's about it. I know there's some mini weird plots going on in between the videos, because obviously you can't make a 30-minute video with no plot. But yeah, now we get on to the Christmas countdown with Ice Freddy, which is my kind of 31 Nights with Jacobani kind of esque video or series. Basically, this whole series kind of has its own lore, which is kind of confusing. But basically, you got these ice animatronics, which, you know, that old man back in the Halloween special, you know, made these guys, you know, for the his ice center that'll be opening only one day a year, which can't be good for business. I can't speak. And that is obviously November or December 25th, which is obviously Christmas Day, and makes these animatronics. But then also there's a bunch of old animatronics, and then Ice Freddy is one of those guys, and also Ice Baby and Glow Bunny. And then basically this one girl, I think she's called Nina, she gets like frozen by Ice Freddy for some reason, and that's it. And then there's also the main kind of human character is called Steven, and he gets kind of blamed for Nina's kind of paralysis for some reason. But then Ice Freddy finds this weird guy in ice, this weird like ice guy who just covered in ice, and he wants to save him for some reason. So he goes up to the main area, meets Steven, becomes homies with him, and then gets this hairdryer thing and saves the ice guy. And there's also these other the newer ice animatronics, and the ice Bonnie becomes sentient. Then part 3, the ice Bonnie goes down, fights the other old animatronics, but then the Ice Foxy guy actually wakes up and then kills Ice Bonnie. Or yeah, and then I'll go to sleep. That's basically it. Then day 4, the Ice Freddy and Ice Foxy were kind of like the main characters. Also, yeah, Glow Bonnie gets a new upgrade into proper Ice Bonnie. That's cool. So then they just kind of chill up like the main area of the building from now on. And then they beat up this newer Ice Foxy, and then all the other animatronics become sentient, and then the Ice Chica and Ice Freddy realize that something happened to Ice Bonnie, and they decide to go check it out. And then basically the Ice Guy stuff happens. These guys find out that Ice Bonnie's dead. They work with these other guys who've been here since like part 1. Ice Puppet and this guy called Frozen Freddy, or yeah, Ice Freddy version something. I don't know, it's kind of confusing. But then the 4 of them kind of work together, and they kind of beat up the other ice animatronics. But then Ice Puppet and Frozen Freddy kind of feel bad, so then they decide to, you know, abandon the other evil people. And then with the power of the hair dryer, the ice guy who you know, Ice Freddy saved, then burns the other Ice Freddy and Ice Chica to a crisp. Yeah, they're dead now. And then this is actually the last time that really the main characters actually come downstairs, and then all these other characters that were kind of just left there are just kind of, well, you know, left there. But then turns out there was also like an old version of Ice Chica that the manager kept hidden for some reason. And so then the Ice Bonnie, Ice Freddy, Ice Chica, and Ice Foxy kind of meet up, which is very nice and stuff. And then all this video is kind of about there's some new employees. Most of the video is just them throwing chairs. One of the employees is kind of evil, and Ice Foxy decides to work for him. And then at the end of the video, Ice Chica wakes up and decides to show them something very cool. In part 2, or part 7, sorry. And then basically she just goes in the back room and finds this nightmare ice bear guy, who's just like a nightmare Ice Freddy basically. And then they find it, and yes, cool stuff, and they decide to seal it back up. But then turns out, you know, obviously they don't know still that Ice Foxy is working with the evil guy. And then we go into part 8, which is actually where the thumbnails kind of get kind of good. Yeah, cool stuff. And then there's more ice animatronics can wake up, like Ice Arctic. Is this part? Oh, sorry, no. Then main basically is that Ice Freddy and Ice Foxy finally get their new suits, as you can see here. So their new suits, very cool, very nice. But yeah, and then basically, Ice Bonnie, Ice Freddy, and Ice Foxy kind of have moments like, wait, we're much better than everyone else, so they decide to leave the pizzeria for a while, or the diner. But then Steven and Ice Chica are sad, because they left them. And then on day 9, basically, Ice Freddy, Ice Bonnie, and Ice Foxy get kidnapped, or taken in by these Ice Endo police force guys, and then basically, one of the Ice Endos end up being nice, I think it's this guy, and then they take out the general, and then the nice guy gets the general's hat, which gives him superpowers. But yeah, see that guy, I actually really like this guy, looks really cool. And then they go back with a new friend to the diner. Then day 10, it's weird because day 10 kind of takes place like during day 9, but also kind of after day 9, so it's kind of weird. Basically, yeah, this is where Arctic Ballora, Frozen Bloom Boy, and also Frozen or Ice Plus Trap, or whatever their names are, Frost Plus Trap. Sorry, Frostbite Bloom Boy, Arctic Ballora, and Frost Plus Trap wake up because they've been here since also part 1 or day 1, because they just haven't woken up yet. And so I don't know what happens then. Oh, then also these guys are actually, they're still alive, and also Ice Bonnie, all these newer Ice animatronics decide to get their revenge. But then and then they kill this other girl who was one of the new employees, and then Arctic Ballora gets her revenge by stabbing Arctic Bonnie, and this is when he actually does die. So rip Arctic Bonnie, the first official death, I think. Well, a bunch of the Ice Endo police guys died, but this is the first important death. Like, no, all of our friends are dead, no. And then day 11 also takes place right after day 10, but then it's kind of a time to jump, so it actually is day 11. Basically, these guys come back, beat up the new animatronics, and then as you can tell, there's a bunch of animatronics at this point. But then Steven finally gets clearance, and the old man shows him, or the manager shows him, and that in the back was a Jack animatronics that I remember he stole. And then this Ice Foxy guy, the new Ice Foxy, who's been kind of trapped for ages, kind of finally gets out. But then, yeah, then they all beat everyone up. But then the Jackos come and save the day. And there's like, well, we're just trying to find Jacko Toy Bonnie, who got taken at the end of the Halloween special. So then the Jackos leave. But then obviously Ice Foxy just can't find the evil guy anywhere. But then he gets knocked out. Then turns out the evil guy is working with none other than Nightmare Ice Bear. And then he reprograms Ice Foxy for the final day, day 11, which is an hour long. Basically, it's like the official opening day. They all get ready and stuff, and then these guys from Shamrock Freddy's bar, Sunga Tobani, Shamrock Freddy, Principal Trap, or just Springtrap now because he's not principal anymore, and that's it. Because, well, there's 2 more people who get added to this group later on, but yeah, that's later on, obviously. They basically, the evil Ice Foxy kills a bunch of people, and so does Nightmare Ice Bear, and basically turns out that the evil guy's dad is actually the old man. Steven does some cool stuff, and then the old man, the evil guy kills the old man, but then Nightmare Ice Bear retaliates and kills the evil guy. It's like, I don't work for you anymore. It's like, oh, and then yeah, but then a bunch of the characters die. I can't be bothered to go through all the characters die, but a bunch of them do die. But then Ice Foxy breaks out of his control, out of the evil guy's control, and say, I'm sorry for what I've done, yar, fiddly-dee. But then they get all the survivors together, and then, as per usual at the end of every series, the whole entire place blows up. But then Ice Guy and Ice Baby, who were betrayed and kind of, well, not betrayed, but kind of just left to rot. Turns out that Ice Guy has new powers, and then he revives Ice Bonnie, who's one of the guys who died, and now he's an ice zombie. So that's gonna happen in season 2, which will be happening this Christmas, where they're like basically the main villains, as you could probably guess. And then we get into how Wither Bonnie lost his face, which I would kind of consider like a new kind of era. I'd say how far are we? We're almost 2 hours. And how many videos have we done? 90. I don't know if we still have a lot to go. We've done 90. Well, we can definitely get it in like under 3 hours, I'd say, if you go really quickly. Alright, so basically, in this video, Wither Bonnie, it's Christmas, or it's just after Christmas, because obviously it's off screen when these guys enjoy Christmas. And Shadow Bonnie thinks he can bring Wither Bonnie's face back to normal, but instead he actually accidentally like destroys it completely. And then FNAF House, Shadow Freddy, or FNAF House Golden Freddy and Springtrap show up to try and give Puppet some support and cool stuff like that. And then they leave. And then in the Return to Shamrock Freddy's bar, Nightmare Foxy and Nightmare Freddy go back to Shamrock Freddy's bar, because also at the end of the Christmas countdown with Ice Freddy, Fred Frostbear, who was one of the characters who were locked in the back along with the Jackos, I'm pretty sure, who is actually Shamrock Freddy's brother, gets saved and he gets out of the group. But then Golden Freddy finally found Springtrap, you know, from the school tears after all this time. And then also Sung Tobani, well, he was already living there. And then basically they just used the gravity gun and stuff, or the physical and everything, just to kind of beat up nightmares. And then that's it. Then finally, the return of the baby Freddy. It's still Christmas. I really love this map. Basically, it's most of this video is kind of just talking, to be honest. But then basically, the baby Freddy kind of shows up, and then they call in the Ghostbusters, aka Puppet, and then Puppet traps the baby soul in an oil drum. And finally Freddy is saved after like 2 months, right? Almost 2 months. And then the story of Lefty Part 1. Basically we're back with Henry Emily. This looks like the pizzeria, but it's actually a completely different pizzeria. Basically what he's trying to do is he's trying to capture his daughter Puppet, or his daughter who he knows is in the puppet at this point, to try and set her soul free. But then he also needs Lefty, obviously, so he's running his experiments on this Funtime Lefty. But then there's also Lefty and Righty, and Lefty doesn't want to be used as a soup, because then he knows that he'll be dead, and then obviously Righty will be scrapped as well, so they decide to leave. And then Henry tasks the Funtime Lefty with trying to track them down and beat them up, so that's nice. And then Golden Freddy saves New Year's, which is another very simple video we can go through quickly. Which is the New Year's 2022 special, by the way. That should be, well, it's New Year's, well, it's like New Year's 2020, New Year's, it's like, that's New Year, whatever. Basically, all that happens is that, oh yeah, also at the end of, I forgot to mention, at the end of, the Bite of 87 video, Mangle runs away, and so does With Foxy, to try and find where she went. And basically all that happens here is Plushtrap shows up. There's some sussy stuff going on about Shadow Freddy, and like Plushtrap's like, hey, you're supposed to be working with us, and Wither Golden Freddy's confused. But then Plushtrap gets to run through a window and everything's okay. And then yeah, Plushtrap stole the button for the fireworks, and also Firework Freddy's there. He's up there, Chad. And then they enjoy the fireworks together as bros. Very cool bros. And then Plushtrap is depressed because he couldn't do anything. And then finally we get into the first video, which canonically takes place in 1988, because obviously that was New Year's, so this is 1988, no longer 1987. So Glitchtrap and Vanny meet Glamour Freddy and Sunrise. It's kind of, the title itself is kind of explanatory. Vanny and Glitchtrap go into the mall place, Pizzaplex, meet Sunrise, who was protecting Glamour Freddy. Remember, he's still alive, except he's all damaged and stuff. But then they give him a new suit, and it's all okay. And then next video, Sunrise and Daylight Curse basically talk about the Daylight Curse, which basically turns Sunrise into Moondrop whenever it gets mad and stuff. And they're also trying to bring back all the other dead Glamrocks. And then basically Glitchtrap manages to push back Moondrop and turn them back into Sunrise. And then Sunrise gets turned into a micro plushie. This random guy called the Toy Maker shows up one day, and Glamour Fred's like, hey, who are you? It's like, I'm the Toy Maker, I'm gonna make toy. And it's like, okay, I want to make a toy. So then he turns Sunrise into a toy, and then he runs away. But then Glitchtrap uses his powers to turn Sunrise back into a normal guy. I'm not sure how much I managed to make that 34 minutes of a video, but okay. Then the Glamour animatronics get fixed. Very simple. Roxanne, Monty, and Glamour Chica finally get fixed after like a bunch of videos, because they have been dead since the Wither animatronics movie, but now they're in like these new cool suits which don't stay for long, but still. And then I think that is everything that happens. They just kind of get revived and they kind of go around doing stuff, and then they Glitchtrap and Vanny, because all they were doing there was trying to fix the Glamrocks, and they were trying to leave the place, but then no, leaving the building, because yes. So then they're trying to trapped in the mall. And then how Glamour Freddy met Gregory, it's kind of simple. Glamour Freddy's depressed because he thinks someone likes him. I can't speak. Glamour Freddy's depressed because he thinks someone likes him. Suddenly he goes out for a walk and he meets this weird homeless boy named Gregory and decides to adopt him. And that's about it. And brings him back to the Pizzaplex. And then Monty gets replaced. It's a couple days after Gregory comes back and everyone's happy because Gregory's cool. But Monty is jealous of Freddy. Also, Malhair is here. Yeah, Malhair, remember him because he got controlled by, released and controlled by Nightmare because he's working with Nightmare now. So yeah, but yeah, and then Monty tries to prove that he's better than everyone else. Like, oh no, my fingers, oh no. And then he kind of all gets zappy whapped and stuff. And then his original, this new suit gets kind of damaged. Glitchtrap is like, you've done messed up, kid. But then Malhair's like, all your friends, guess what? It's like, or I'm not a fox, I'm saying, what? It's like, they replaced you with Glamrock Bonnie. And then Monty is really sad and stuff, and it's like, oh, that's it. That does it, fam. I'm gonna work with Malhair now to get my revenge. And then, Origins Glamour Bonnie takes place literally like right after that video. Basically, turns out that, you know, from their dialogue, that they didn't actually replace Monty with Glamour Bonnie. They were just supposed to be like him to be like a new addition, because they were created by you know, the bunnies, you know, Glitchtrap and Vanny, because they realized there wasn't actually a Bonnie there, so they wanted that Bonnie. And then they kind of talk for a while, and then Gregory and Freddy kind of show them around the place. But at the end, we see that Malhair has given Monty a new suit and an axe, and he's ready to attack. And then Monty gets his revenge, which in the video, you know, Monty in his new updated suit beats up Glamour Chica, beats up Roxanne, beats up everybody. Kind of has some more character development stuff. You think he kills everyone, he kind of does, but they get new suits later, so it's fine. And then you have the big showdown, finally, the big sequel showdown with Malhair and Glitchtrap. But then Glitchtrap gets the old broken like Glamrock suits to basically kamikaze and do a big explosion stuff, which is very cool. It's like, wait, did we finally do it? I think we finally did it. And then it's like, no. And then, yeah, no. But then, big reveal, Malhair punched, bringing Glitchtrap through the chest, and he's dead. Yes, and this isn't like a fake out. Glitchtrap is actually dead. He's dead. He's straight dead. He's dead. He got punched through the chest. He's dead. But then the owners, who are not owners of Freddy's, they're the owners of the mall, kind of show up and say, what the heck's going on here? And then Malhair needs to try and find a place to hide. He's like, wait, like, I know the perfect place, ha 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 ha. And then he goes and hides in Vanny's body, and then Vanny is possessed by Malhair. And then Glamour Freddy's life for a bit is like, oh no, but then he gets killed by Monty. He's like, oh, give me back my glasses, because also Glamour Bonnie was used, his glasses was used on Glamour Bonnie. So now he gets his glasses back. He's like, oh, I'm cool. But then he dies. And then the manager's like, we're gonna have a lot of work in our hands. And yeah, very cool shot. Then back into something a bit lighthearted, or I don't know what. But yeah, basically, Glamour Freddy's, Wither Freddy's bored, and then he asks Wither Foxy, because you remember, Wither Foxy and Mango left during the events of the Bad of 87, but then randomly they're just back for the New Year special. So then basically they explain that 3 weeks earlier, Shadow Bonnie, who actually also ran away after he destroyed Wither Bonnie's face, have a big character talk with Wither Foxy. Then Wither Foxy talks with Mangle, and then at this point they're basically dating. Lovely stuff. And then Springtrap versus the United Animatronics. The United Animatronics, we kind of show up because, like, yeah, we kind of beat up the Springtrap guy a while back. We kind of want to forgive him, or we kind of want to him to try and forgive us. We're trying to apologize. But then King Endo finally shows up again and takes out the United Animatronics, and guess what? Turns them evil. And so the United Animatronics big fight all the FNAF house crew, and then at the end they finally kill Springtrap. Look at this, all this blood, because yeah, he is technically part human because of Afton inside of him, but Afton's soul is gone now. So then basically Puppet turns because they force Puppet to give Springtrap a new suit or a new body, none of those words, a new soul as ignited Springtrap. I said that, well, you know, they try and make her do it, but yes, it doesn't. And then Springtrap final time attacks all the ignited animatronics, beats them up. And then these guys kind of show up, and then basically now Springtrap's original body, like the original body, gets turned into ignited Springtrap, which is a whole new person, who will be important later. And then Springtrap gets a whole new suit with no Afton wires whatsoever. Or no Afton guts whatsoever, so he's completely just Spring Bonnie, but he keeps the name Springtrap for some reason, even though I'm pretty sure it was Afton who came up with that. And then more bromance between Goldie and Springtrap, so that's nice. And then these guys, remember these guys from the school series? Yeah, they're back and they're homeless. Well, they're poor. Stylized Golden Freddy appears. Basically, Stylized Freddy's bro, his brother, is Stylized Golden Freddy, and they hate each other. Well, Freddy hates Golden Freddy. And then Golden Freddy shows him around his place, and Freddy doesn't like it, and so he leaves. Then Stylized Freddy and Stylized Golden Freddy swap bodies, as it would, you know, the title says all. Freaking Stylized Bonnie finds this weird, like, demon book thing, and then they try to do a spell or whatever, but it doesn't work, and then Golden Freddy and Freddy are swapped bodies, but then this old man who sold Bonnie the book manages to, you know, fix them, and then but then they have to pay a price, and Golden Freddy in Freddy's body decides to remove his microphone and give it to him. It's like Freddy's like, no, that's my microphone. It's like, well, I'm in your body, so I make the decisions, and then that makes Freddy hate Golden Freddy even more because he made him get rid of his microphone. And then it all culminates in Stylized Freddy versus Stylized Golden Freddy, where Freddy shows up in Stylized Golden Freddy's apartment place and beats him up, locks him in a cell, but he doesn't know that he has a secret way to escape. And then basically there's kind of a big fight, and then this guy, Golden Freddy gets this guy to burn down their like cafe place that they were staying at, and none of them die, but they, you know, it's not very cool that they burned their house down. And then big fight at the end, they kind of make a truce and they leave. And this series will eventually continue, but I kind of have to think of more ideas. Then we finally get into Phantom Endo finds his friends. Yeah, for some reason they're knocked out for some reason. And really, literally all that happens is that Phantom Endo and Phantom Bonnie wake up. And then for some reason Phantom Foxy, Phantom Chica, Phantom Freddy, and all those guys are there for some reason. And so big reunion, very happy, and they leave to go do something. Then Secure Pub and Helpy return to the pizza place because Secure Pub and Helpy were in school series, and at the end of school series they were going to go back to the pizza place with, obviously, you know, the rock stars, which are new characters. Yay, more new characters. And then literally all that happens is that they come back, and Ned Bear is sad because all the other melodies are off doing something else. Then Wither Bonnie's crazy adventure. Wither Bonnie has a dream because he really wants his face back. Even though he did forgive in the New Year special, he did forgive Shadow Bonnie for ripping off his face, he still wants it back. So it was this weird like dream where it's like he's like with Crash Bandicoot, and then this weird like Sammy from Bendy and Ink Machine, and there's this weird like electric balloon boy things, and he becomes super powerful. And then the wet floor sign gives him his face back. It's like, thank you so much. I don't know what I'd be able to do to thank you for all this. It's like, ha, lol. It's all just a dream. It's like, wait, what? Wakes up, it's all a dream. All the withers around him are like, wait, what's going on? Yeah, Freddy accidentally drugged you with his new type of tea, or his new beans, or something. I don't know. Yeah, basically, Freddy accidentally drugged him. So yeah, all a crazy adventure. Then Ignited Golden Freddy and Ignited Springtrap go on an adventure. You know, with Ignited Springtrap now part of the group, Ignited Golden Freddy and Springtrap kind of go on a group in like a little adventure. They meet Mapbot. They steal a map to try and find their way around the city. Mapbot turns evil and tries to kill them. But then at the end, one of the owners of the Pizzaplex Mall, you know, from the Glamrock Saga series, all Glamrock videos, he basically saves them and takes Mapbot, and then they go to a kind of repair shop and kind of fix up Ignited Springtrap a little bit more. So now he's looks more like an actual Ignited Springtrap and not like the other old freaking weird like withered ignited Springtrap guy who is from the original suit. And then Sunrise gets turned into Mega Plushie again. Yes, you know, ever since, you know, the whole stuff happens and Sunrise was beaten up by Monty when he's getting his revenge, he shows up here. And then Toymaker's back, and literally in the first literally 2 minutes, he's turned into a plushie again. But then the plushie guy managed to escape, and this piranha plush trap guy kind of tries to beat up freaking Toymaker. But then Sunrise finds Glamrock Bonnie. Then Glamrock Bonnie kind of goes ape crap. Actually, no, then, sorry, this is actually kind of cool. So Sunrise turns into Moondrop as a plushie and just beats the Toymaker up, and Toymaker turns him back to normal by using the new suit. And then the other owner, the other owner obviously went to go get Mapbot, but this owner found Sunrise and brought him back. And but they also changed his name to Sun to actually fit Security Breach. And then Glamrock Bonnie can't find him. I was like, screw this, I'm gonna get my revenge on Monty and get my glasses back. I'm gonna find my way to get to the Pizzaplex. And then Wither Foxy and Mangle's first date, which is actually the final kind of Wither Foxy centric video. Basically, they just go on their first date because it's the Valentine's Day special. Go on the first date. The Endos and Funtime Freddy are there, and they go on the first date, and more character development. And basically, Wither Foxy stops watching his porn, and he becomes more mature and stuff. Then Freddy Firefox Mega Pizzaplex. Finally, they actually get into the proper Mega Pizzaplex because Gregory shows up there. The proper thing, you know, this is a proper map, and he meets the security guard called Vanessa, not to be confused with Vanny, which I think in like lore, the game lore, they actually are the same person, but for me, they're different people. So yeah, that's very fun. And so that's about it. Then Gregor kind of runs away into the daycare, and then Greg goes to the daycare. They go to the daycare, the very cool daycare stuff. And he meets Sun, but Sun lost all his memories, and then turns into Moondrop, or into Moon, and it's literally just like in the actual game, Security Breach. And so yeah, but then Gregory leaves at the end, and then Vanny's like, Vanessa's like, I wish someone could go just get Gregory and bring him back, cause like, oh, well, something fell, okay. And then you see Vanny's bloody hand, because remember Vanny's being possessed by Malhair, which is cool. And then Glamrock Bonnie meets Glamrock Foxy. Glamrock Bonnie's still trying to find his way back to the Pizzaplex, meets Glamrock Foxy, but it turns out Glamrock Foxy is actually like a convicted criminal or something, because he killed a homeless person, I think. There it is. Sorry. Yeah, and so basically they run from the cops and they kill the cops. And that's it. Then Gregory gets hunted by Vanny. Vanny killed a bunch of people, hunts Gregory. So basically the Malhair Vanny stuff is kind of similar to how Mangle is working with Mangle, how their souls were kind of bound. So when this goes, like all the walls and everything, I'll lose like light and everything. It's just one like single kind of bright color. Is when like it's in Vanny's head, obviously not actually real, and Malhair is just like, do your job, you freaking nincompoop. And then Vanny's trying to find Gregory, but then Gregory finds Glamrock Freddy in this new suit, and then he hides in Glamrock Freddy's chest. And then Glamrock Freddy, luckily, he did lose his memories, but Gregory finds his CPU and brings his memories back. And so they try and find Monty and Glamrock Chica and Roxy. And then Glamrock Freddy and Gregory. Sorry, I dropped something again. Where'd it go? What the hell? Whatever, I'll find it in a minute. Basically, Glamrock Freddy and Gregory look for Roxy's OnlyFans password. They find Roxy. She lost her OnlyFans password. She'll agree to work to join their group if they find it, and then they go and find it. And also this cop guy, but he gets killed by Vanny, and Vanny gets yeeted by Roxy, and then they all drive away in the cop's car. And then Sort of Lefty Part 2. Finally. So remember, this is also kind of a tie-in to the Rockstar stuff. Basically, the Rockstar's just hanging out, talking about stuff, and Rockstar Freddy wants some fast coins. But then Lefty and Riley show up, after running away from the other pizzeria, but they're being chased by Funtime Lefty, and Funtime Lefty kind of beats everyone up, and Lefty allows himself to be taken as long as Funtime Lefty will stop beating everyone up. So that's nice. Oh, we reached 2 hours. I just realized that. That's nice. Oh golly, I think we've passed 100 videos, right? Okay, we will get this done very soon. I'd say we have like, how many videos do we have left? We have 11 or 12 videos left, and then basically Riley kind of gets beaten up, but he's still alive. And then Funtime Lefty leaves with Lefty. And then we get the Death Race Part 2, or the Death Race 2. I told you the Death Race would eventually be important. Basically, okay, so FNAF House, Golden Freddy, and Springtrap. Then the Shamrock Freddy bar, Golden Freddy and Springtrap. The Wither Freddy guy who won the original game. And also this other like help wanted Freddy with an open chest. This guy who was also another very important character in the original game. And also finally the return of the version 2 Fredbear and Spring Bonnie, and also Spring Foxy. And I think that's everyone. And then a bunch of them die, and the ones and then the survivors are the original Withered Freddy. Also this guy who's kind of there, but with the power of bromance, he dies. Like he literally just evaporates. But yeah, the survivors are the FNAF House, Golden Freddy, and Springtrap, and also Withered Freddy, because everyone else died. But then it turns out that these shadow guys, you remember from the school series, were actually behind the Death Race the whole time. Because yes, like the whole Death Race stuff, because I suppose canonically they were doing their experiments like the Death Race, because there was like millions of Death Races, but obviously we've only seen 2. The first Death Race was one of their experiments, but that was like the last experiment before they were captured by Springtrap and Golden Freddy. And then this is like their other one, but they decided that they revived Springtrap and Golden Freddy, but obviously they were going to revive everyone else anyway. That if Springtrap and Golden Freddy agreed to stop looking for them, then they'd stop like hurting people and doing all these experiments. So they agree, and it's like, alright, you'll get all your friends back. And then in this short little intro sequence into Spring Bonnie and friends go to the FNAF house, all the characters go through the portals after them, but then these version 2 Spring Boys kind of didn't know which one to go through. So they get through this one, but then turns out that it's the one that Golden Freddy Springtrap went through, and then these guys are now in the FNAF house. Yes, 3 new characters added to the FNAF house series, and then they basically just stay down with Foxy in the basement, which is where Foxy stays, by the way. But then at the end of the video, I can't speak. Chica sees a weird thing, a burning fire. What will that be? Find out soon at some point. So Candy and Friends versus the Collectors. As I said, the Collectors will be important. Basically, Candy and his friends got kidnapped by the Collectors. Remember at the end of the last video, kind of. And so basically, they just beat everyone up. They kind of beat up Shadow Blank, but then Cat and Rat decide to go against Shadow Candy and beat up Shadow Chester. And then basically, that's kind of it. And yeah. Then in the fall of Shadow Candy, Shadow Blank is kind of taken out, but then Shadow Candy shows up and helps Shadow Chester take out everyone. Then Rat and Cat turn good, and Shadow Candy kills Candy. Yes, Big Rip Candy main character. But then Shadow Candy's master returns, who hasn't been seen since the Rise of Shadow Candy. You know, the Rise of Shadow Candy, the Fall of Shadow Candy, very funny. The Grey Puppet, or Vinny, or the Puppeteer, or Vincent, or whatever. I suppose it would be Vinny. But yeah, and then basically Vinny turns Chester back to normal for some reason, and also Blank gets turned back to normal. And then Vinny takes Candy's body and leaves, and then all the gang band up and freaking beat the hell out of Shadow Candy, because as you can see, he's not looking for too good. And then they're like, Candy, what happened to you? And then at the end, Shadow Candy meets up with Nightmare. Nightmare's like, I want to make an alliance with you. And so obviously that means that Shadow Candy will be a new addition to the Nightmare Army. And then Glamour Freddy saves Glamour Chica from the Endoskeleton Army. Basically, Glamour Freddy wakes up in this weird storage area. Turns out that this is where the scrapyard where Glamour Chica has been staying this whole time, you know, after the Monty stuff, because obviously all the characters got separated at the end of that. And he helps, obviously, but he saves her from the Endoskeleton armies. That's nice. And then they escape. And then basically they meet back up with Roxy and Gregory, and they get washed up and stuff. And then also, yes, obviously, some of these videos aren't in the order of them actually being like released on my channel. One sec. I thought because currently I'm recording this. It's like a couple minutes until I actually have to upload my next video, so I thought I missed it, but actually I'm good, so that's good. And so basically, yeah, so obviously they're not in order of them actually being uploaded, because it is chronological order, so yeah. But basically they try to get a train out of the city, but then this Mr. Gold guy says, "Yeah, it's gonna take you a week." I was like, "Oh, okay." And so they go back up and they find Monty. Turns out Monty was actually being controlled by Malheur the entire time, and then they become friends again. And then finally we get Rubber's Adventure Part 3. Remember this series? Yeah. Also these obviously these videos are getting really recent. Like I think this video was released yesterday or the day before. So then basically this weird toy Red Bear guy or Reddy or whatever goes into a shed one day and finds the original Red Bear because he's depressed and stuff because he thinks all of his friends are dead, which is a fair point. But then the landlords are trying to get a toy Red Bear's money, but then this guy at the beginning stole his money. It's like, oh no, I'm gonna die. But then this really cool scene, I actually think it's really cool, I'm really proud of it. Red Bear just busts through the shed doors or the barn doors like, I'll save you, toy Red Bear. And then they get shot at by the boys. But then, as you can see, Red Bear kind of kills their commander by just punching his freaking head off. It's very violent. I was gonna have him just smack him, but then he accidentally kind of, yeah. So then they get on the ship and they leave. But then at the end, they see Mendo and they see target acquired. That means obviously Mendo is working for someone, and in the part 4, whenever that comes out, he'll be trying to track them down. And the story of Lefty, which is the second last, or well, okay, so because obviously this Gregory's Evil Robot Clone came out like I think the day after the Monty video, but canonically it takes place like a week afterwards, so that's why these videos are in between. So this is my most recent video as of, as of me recording this. Basically, takes place right after part 2, and basically Righty, Security Puppet, and Helpy go to try and save Lefty, and Lefty is being tested on by Henry and Funtime Lefty, and then all these Endo people try to attack them, but then they manage to fend off the Endo people. But then Righty gets taken by Henry and Funtime Lefty, and he watches as Lefty is turned into the thing he feared the most, being a device. And then Righty gets really mad and stuff and takes this freaking spear and really metally, I suppose you could say, just stabs freaking Funtime Lefty through the chest. But then Henry was like, self-destruct mode activated. Yeah, so self-destruct mode activated, and Henry's like, goodbye Righty. And then he screws off and it's like, oh crap. And the Secure Pop and Helpy were also knocked out, so they go over to Righty and it's like, Righty, what's going on? And she's like, run. Then he freaking explodes, and then Helpy and Secure Puppet are fine, but obviously Righty wouldn't be. But then who's these two figures? It's obviously Ignited Freddy and Ignited Bonnie. And also, by the way, Lefty went to go to the pizzeria, which will probably take him a couple months to actually get there, because he's going to go and try and capture Puppet, which will be a future video. And then obviously Henry is just kind of gone for now. Because actually, I'm really proud of the series. I'm really glad it's really popular, because this is kind of more based off the original whole like story at the very beginning, with like because like characters, you know, with the series, like, you know, even like the like some things like the Withered series and the Red Bear Adventures stuff, that it's just completely self-contained, and like Candies as well has literally nothing to do with the well, I suppose not with the series, but definitely like the Red Bear Adventures series and the Candy series. It has nothing to do with the original story, and like the first, like the Golden Origins videos or the Golden Sagas videos. But this has something to do with that, obviously, you know, because Henry's trying to get his daughter back and set her soul to rest. But then they find Ignited Righty. Yes, he's a character, and obviously poor Funtime Lefty got murdered. And then currently, the final video because I have the I'll show at the end actually. So basically, Gregory's Evil Robot Clone. It's a week after the Monty video. They go to this weird factory thing. Gregory gets replaced by Evil Robot Gregory, and then Evil Robot Gregory kidnaps everyone but Monty's big smart brain, and he decides to help the real Gregory. And so Monty and the real Gregory beat up the evil fake Robot Gregory, and so yeah. And then he's like, I'll get my revenge at some point, and then everyone leaves, and then he gets a fresh trim. And then I've saved one of my favorite lines right here. Listen to this. Is fresh as fuck. Well, okay, well, he said this trim is fresh as fuck. So yeah, and then we got, so this basically, alright, so I might as well just show you now. Yeah, obviously I'm on an alt, so you can't see these 3 videos that are unavailable at the moment, because obviously I have made another 3 videos that I will be releasing at some point. Basically, right, I'm like, can you see this in the actual thing? You can, cool. So the Golden Saga Part 1, the Animatronic Factory Part 1, the Golden Saga Part 2, the Animatronic Factory Part 2, Nightmare Virus, Nightmare's Origins, and the Descent Madness. These first 7 videos are considered the Golden the Golden Saga, even though these 2 videos are called the Golden Saga, they're kind of the beginning of the Golden Saga. This whole thing is called the Golden Saga. But then from videos 8, like the Chica Chicken series, up until, well, it's not been completed yet, but this is considered like the Nightmare Saga, which, as I said before, will probably, hopefully, end sometime in summer. So then we can finally go on to this, which is actually not part of the Nightmare Saga. It's actually the saga after the next one, because after the Golden Saga, then Nightmare Saga, then I'm thinking of like the Modern Saga, and then the Futuristic Saga, or the Future Saga. And this is the Flumpty. Basically, it just takes place on the moon. This random girl got kidnapped. Flumpty and his friends try to attack her, but then you think at the end, they think they killed her, but she didn't, and she managed to escape on a rocket ship. And then part 2, she comes back with a bunch of her friends, but all her friends end up dying. Also Beaver, one of Flumpty's friends, die. Also, yes, all of Flumpty's like friends, they're all aliens, and this takes place on the moon. So yeah. And then at the end, Flumpty looks like that now, which is not nice. And it's like, let's play bad. I'm gonna be all evil stuff now. Mwahaha. And then finally, we got onto the final video currently on my playlist. Obviously, at this point, even like by the time I upload this video, it'll be out of date because I won't upload this video like direct. Actually, should I upload? Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna pause recording right now. I'm gonna upload my newest video, which I don't know what it'll be, but it'll be something. And so I will be back then. Okay, I'm back, and yeah, basically the end is just that Flumpty gives his friends one last chance to try and find the girl. I don't think she has a name actually, but yeah. Basically, then he combines Beaver's dead body along with Owl, which is another one of his friends, to make the Beavowl, this guy. But then at the end, his friends fail him, and it's like, you know what, screw this. And then another cool scene, like the Afton Set scene, where he just murders all of his friends. And then, where can I see the shot? There it is. Look at that shot, all of his friends are dead. And then the girl's like, oh god, I gotta run. It's like, and Flumpty was like, I can only rely on myself, so I'm gonna create a bunch of clones of myself to replace my friends, and all his friends are dead. And that is done. Jeez Louise. My throat's ruined. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. This will be out of date as soon as it's freaking uploaded, or if at this point, because currently the video that's premiering now is obviously because I'm recording this on St. Patrick's Day, so the St. Patrick's special, the Shamak Freddy video, is currently gonna be live, like, I'm pretty sure, like, right now, actually. So I'm gonna go watch that and interact with you guys. So thank you guys so much for all the amazing support recently. I will probably update I won't update this until after sorry, I'm eating some wings now right now, and they're really nice. I won't update this video until after the whole Nightmare Saga is over. So I'll probably be a couple months, and then also I'll definitely do it on the live stream next time. So yeah, it's just so it'll be better. But yeah, with all that said, I hope you all enjoyed very, very much, because I sure did not. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye. This is 2 hours. This is my second longest video on my channel. What the hell?